The information provided by the speakers and/or presenter on Facebook and YouTube is for general informational purposes only. All information is provided in good faith. However, Constructive Talk makes no representation or warranty of any kind, express or implied, regarding the accuracy, adequacy, validity, reliability, availability, or completeness of this information. The information provided by the speakers and/or presenter on Facebook and YouTube is for general informational purposes only. All information is provided in good faith. However, Constructive Talk makes no representation or warranty of any kind, express or implied, regarding the accuracy, adequacy, validity, reliability, availability, or completeness of this information.
Movement is medicine. Sharpens your mind, balances your body, fixes your focus. Elbow your neighbor and tell them, you got to bust a move. Dr. King challenged racism in this nation, but realized he couldn't do it sitting behind a pulpit, which is why he sprung into, here it is, the civil rights movement. He marched on Washington. He pulled down the curtain of segregation for the mistreatment in the South to be seen by the entire world. He pushed back against unfair voting laws. He pulled down Supreme Court decisions of division and stood against barking dogs and fire hoses. To be clear, it was not an event, it was a movement. It was protest, legal challenges, civil disobedience, and boycotts, stretching every part of the American body politic all at the same time, because he knew stagnation would be the death of us. I rise this morning because we as a people have become lethargic, sluggish, and sedentary, because we've been sitting so long in comfortability that we no longer feel inclined to make a move. You are in such a rush to go to brunch, to go play golf, to binge watch on Netflix, that making a move is no longer even entertained in your subconscious. ICE in Minneapolis has killed an innocent woman named Renee Macklin Good. And as of this hour, the officer will face no penalty. We're going to have to make a move. An ICE agent threw tear gas in a car full of black children, some of whom are in ICU in this moment. Just this week, one ICE agent has been charged with SAing a detainee because it was the only way he would allow her to get visits. 1,000 more agents are headed to Minneapolis this week, not even realizing, ladies and gentlemen, that ICE is now the new slave patrol. The Klan no longer wears hoods, they now wear masks. They are no longer volunteers, they're being paid to oppress brown and black people. The budget for ICE must be frozen immediately. If it's in Minneapolis today, it'll be in Marietta tomorrow. If you don't say anything, racism and bigotry will continue to wield its head. But I'm so glad there's some witnesses in the building that understand I cannot sit still when other people are being marginalized. Donald Trump said civil rights has made white men get treated poorly. If they getting treated poorly, then black people are below welfare. They want to go door to door and arrest people with no warrants and no probable cause, and all while he has named himself as the acting president of Venezuela. He's asking Jamaicans and Haitians to self-deport, but has said nothing about illegal Germans and Italians and Swedes because they believe, here it is, that if you are black or brown, you are illegal, but if you are European, then you are permissible. Ladies and gentlemen, the cost of living is skyrocketing. Upcoming elections are being questioned. And military leaders who speak up for accountability are having their pensions being cut.
More like you, more like you, Lord. Let me hear your voice sing more like you. Sing more like. One more time, just sing more like you. More like you. More like you. More like you. Put your loving arms over me. Standing unworthy, wash me in your cleansing blood. I don't want to preach and one miracle. Did you say you don't know me? Put your loving arms over me. Just cover me. Come on, sing. Put your loving arms over me. I'm standing unworthy. Wash me in your cleansing blood. Take away impurity. I don't wanna preach. Then you say you don't know. Put your loving arms on me. Come on, lift him up. Put your loving arms on me. I'm standing unworthy. Sing, wash me in your cleansing blood. Take away impurity. I don't wanna preach. I don't wanna preach and run me. Put your loving arms over me. Put your loving arms on me. Let's lift your hands up. I'm cold and I am weak. My knees buckle in the fear. While I'm down and bend the knees. This burden that I hold, I just can't bear it alone. There's a silent one. Oh, listen, the darkness in this world is a temptation to, come on, sing it, my flesh taste it sweet, and I am drawn to defeat. But they say I'm anointed, holy, I'm not fit. But you're not over me. I'm standing up. Watch me in your place. Spirit break out. Break the walls down. Begins to pull the walls down. Heaven come down. Spirit break out. Spirit break out. Break the walls down. Spirit break out. Spirit break out. Heaven come down. Heaven come down. Come on. Spirit break out. Spirit break out. Break the walls down. Break the walls down. Spirit break out. Years ago, Jesus Christ came and he died on the cross for us, and he gave man, he gave us the antidote for the crime situation in our nation. And if the gospel of Jesus cannot save, nothing else will. And this is the reason we have open house, to go into all the world and preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. And if every church in this nation, about 3,000 full gospel churches in this nation, if everyone will go around their community and forget about the air-conditioned building, you will see a change in this nation. If the gospel of Jesus cannot save, nothing else will. No PNM, no UNC. But Jesus saved. He gave us the antidote 2,000 plus years ago. All of heaven roars your name. Sing louder. Let this place erupt with praise. Can you hear it? The sound of heaven touching earth. God bless you. Thank you. The sound of heaven touching. Come on and bless his holy name.
All right, good evening, everyone. Good evening to those of you locked on to Constructive Talk, wherever in the world you're listening. I want to say thank you very, very much for being a part of Constructive Talk this evening. All right, I want you to just send the link out to whoever you believe should be listening this evening to Constructive Talk. This evening, I have another guest that's going to be joining me this evening to share some information with you, and I think the information that they're about to share is going to be very, 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 very good. So I think that you need to at least send the link to somebody who you think would be interested in hearing what is happening in Trinidad and Tobago, locally and internationally. All right, so again, let me say good evening to those of you locked on. And there's this clip I played earlier on, and I really want to play it again because I believe that some of you need to hear this clip. Listen to it again. All right, this is by Pastor Jamal Bryant.
We need a movement. Movement is medicine. Sharpens your mind, balances your body, fixes your focus. Elbow your neighbor and tell them you got to bust a move. Dr. King challenged racism in this nation, but realized he couldn't do it sitting behind the pulpit, which is why he sprung into, here it is, the civil rights movement. He marched on Washington. He pulled down the curtain of segregation for the mistreatment in the South to be seen by the entire world. He pushed back against unfair voting laws. He pulled down Supreme Court decisions of division and stood against barking dogs and fire hoses. To be clear, it was not an event, it was a movement. It was protest, legal challenges, civil disobedience, and boycotts, stretching every part of the American body politic all at the same time, because he knew stagnation would be the death of us. I rise this morning because we as a people have become lethargic, sluggish, and sedentary, because we've been sitting so long in comfortability that we no longer feel inclined to make a move. You are in such a rush to go to brunch, to go play golf, to binge watch on Netflix, that making a move is no longer even entertained in your subconscious. ICE in Minneapolis has killed an innocent woman named Renee Macklin Good. And as of this hour, the officer will face no penalty. We're going to have to make a move. An ICE agent threw tear gas in a car full of black children, some of whom are in ICU in this moment. Just this week, one ICE agent has been charged with SAing a detainee because it was the only way he would allow her to get visits. 1,000 more agents are headed to Minneapolis this week, not even realizing, ladies and gentlemen, that ICE is now the new slave patrol. The Klan no longer wears hoods, they now wear masks. They are no longer volunteers, they're being paid to oppress brown and black people. The budget for ICE must be frozen immediately. If it's in Minneapolis today, it'll be in Marietta tomorrow. If you don't say anything, racism and bigotry will continue to wield its head. But I'm so glad there's some witnesses in the building that understand I cannot sit still when other people are being marginalized. Donald Trump said civil rights has made white men get treated poorly. If they getting treated poorly, then black people are below welfare. They want to go door to door and arrest people with no warrants and no probable cause, and all while he has named himself as the acting president of Venezuela. He's asking Jamaicans and Haitians to self-deport, but has said nothing about illegal Germans and Italians and Swedes because they believe, here it is, that if you are black or brown, you are illegal, but if you are European, then you are permissible. Ladies and gentlemen, the cost of living is skyrocketing. Upcoming elections are being questioned. And military leaders who speak up for accountability are having their pensions being cut. We need a movement.
So you just heard Pastor Jamal Bryant, and he is saying that, hey, as a people, we need to move. And this evening, I have with me none other than my Member of Parliament for San Fernando East, Mr. Brian Manning. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Pastor Grover. Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago. Always a pleasure to be here with you both.
All right. All right. So, Mr. Manning.
Hello?
Hello. You see, I tell all of these people and them always interfering. Mr. Manning, these people always interfering. Wow.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, hearing you, but there's something on the line. So I'm trying to sort that out. These people serious, boy.
You see, it's your fault for telling the truth.
Mr. Manning, you hear me?
Should... Yes, I can hear you.
See? Wow. What's happening
Hello?
here now? Mr. Manning,
can you
hear
hear
me?
me? Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, these people is interfering with the line, boy. Wow, every time.
Hello?
Right. Yeah, so just hold on. I'm just trying to make sure, see what's happening here and why this is happening. Wow. I hope you're listening, you know, and recognizing what's going on, you know. All right, let's see if I have Mr. Manning on now.
Hello? Hello?
No, I don't. Well, let's see what's going on. I hope you're listening, you know. Wow. Wow. We're gonna try something again and see. And that is what we're talking about, Trinidad and Tobago. You all don't understand. Every time you all think that they want you all to get the information, they don't want you all to have the information, you know. They don't want you all to have the information at all. Let's see how this go here now. Mr. Manning, you hear me?
Hello, I can hear you.
All right. All right, let's see how this go. I don't know, but I'm still getting an issue. Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm... Wait, just now, Mr. Manning. Wow. All right, just now, Mr. Manning, we're still getting that issue there.
Okay.
All right. Wow. Okay. All right, let's try this, Mr. Manning, and see how it go. All right. So Trinidad and Tobago, I have on the phone line my member of parliament, Mr. Brian Manning, and the reason why I have him on this evening is because since I think it was last week, I wanted to have him on to explain to us what there is something happening in our with the government of Trinidad and Tobago, and they have borrowed or they have. I want you to explain to us, Mr. Manning, what is going on financially with Trinidad and Tobago, because we're seeing where the government have gotten some money. I want to play the news report for you, and after you can explain to us what this is all about.
Sure.
All right, so let me play this news report. Trinidad and Tobago.
The government of Trinidad and Tobago has taken a major step to support national development through external financing. In reality, the government of Trinidad and Tobago has taken a major step to support national development through external financing. In Legal Notice Number 9, published under the External Loans Act, Finance Minister Davinjana Tanku authorized the issuance of up to $1 billion in notes on the international capital market. The notes will be offered to qualified institutional buyers in the United States and non-U.S. persons under international securities regulations. JP Morgan Securities LLC and Bank of America Securities Inc. have been appointed as joint lead managers to oversee the transaction. To facilitate the process, the minister has ordered that all payments of principal, interest, and related debt charges tied to the notes be exempt from taxes and exchange control. The move is aimed at strengthening Trinidad and Tobago's ability to finance general development and repay existing borrowings, positioning the country for long-term economic resilience. The government of Trinidad and Tobago has taken a major step to support national development through external financing. In Legal Notice Number 9, published under the External Loans Act, Finance Minister Davinjana Tanku authorized the issuance of up to $1 billion in notes on the international capital market. The notes will be offered to qualified institutional buyers in the United States and non-U.S. persons under international securities regulations. JP Morgan Securities LLC and Bank of America Securities Inc. have been appointed as joint lead managers to oversee the transaction. To facilitate the process, the minister has ordered that all payments of principal, interest, and related debt charges tied to the notes be exempt from taxes and exchange control. The move is aimed at strengthening Trinidad and Tobago's ability to finance general development and repay existing borrowings, positioning the country for long-term economic resilience.
All right. So let me see if I can get Mr. Manning on, and he is going to. All right, Mr. Manning, you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes. I wanted to know if
Yes.
you could explain that to us. What is that all about?
Yeah, what happened is that we had a bond. Trinidad and Tobago issued a bond about 10 years ago that was coming due in this year, 2026. And how these bonds work is that it was a bond for $1 billion US. So a bond is really a loan. So we have these international investors who loan Trinidad and Tobago $1 billion US. And we committed to paying them a annual payment of about 4.5% of the entire bond. It's called a coupon. So because and what happens is that we pay this 4.5% every year of the 10 years of the loan, right, until the final year. In the final year, there's something called a bullet payment, where you pay the full principal, which is $1 billion US. Right? Is that clear? Hello?
Yeah, I think I got you.
Okay.
I think I got you.
So instead of Trinidad and Tobago paying that $1 billion, we decided to refinance the bond.
Okay, so we refinance a loan then.
Correct. We refinanced the loan of $1 billion by borrowing another $1 billion. Okay, but this time, so we borrowed $1 billion to pay off the old $1 billion.
What are you saying? Mr. Manny, let me call you back because I think we're still having this technical difficulty, and I'm sure that the listeners and they are having an issue with it. All right, let me try and call you back.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
No problem.
All right, I'm sure that you guys are hearing that, and I don't know where it's coming from, but I'm going to call back Mr. Manning and kind of clear up that sound. All right. I'm going to try and clear up that sound. It is, for me, I want to make sure you all hearing clearly what Mr. Manning has to say.
Song is Big Sail. The name of the singer, Queen Victoria.
Africans for sale, for sale, for sale. Africans for sale, for sale, for sale. Double river ball, only come, all you good, yes? I was lying with some old men before the election, and well, I was amazed of their discussion. They were discussing the election of 2025, how Africans were selling cheap and UNC buying dead or alive. One old man shout out, fellas, give me your attention. UNC can't win by themselves, no election. You see, they're sitting and they're planning to make a decision. So she called out Shilaga, who the old FIFA wanted man. She said, call the trade union, let we start negotiations. And we could call out a big sale and we go buy out some Africans. Africans for sale, for sale, for sale. We buying Africans. Sing the thing. Africans for sale, for sale, for sale. We buying Africans. She don't have all she chance, and she the honor rhymes. Now what she need is some slave names, man, some big strong Africans. Africans for sale, for sale, for sale. We buying good or bad. Africans for sale, for sale, for sale. Tobago and Trinidad. Oh, somebody pinch me. Hey, UNC sitting and they're waiting patiently. With about 16 safe seats, they don't win that already. The woman said, I have my people and they are born UNCs. Now all I need is some Africans who got their names out of slavery. And she said that she hear they're really selling cheap, and she could buy them very cheap, 500 and a jersey. A lot of people will cry when she's finished with CPAP, because she is not holding back.
All right. Okay, so I think I have it now. Trinidad and Tobago. So I think I have it now. I think I have it in place now. I think things are going to be sounding much better. All right, let's go. Let me try and get my member of parliament on the line. Let's see how this go. All right. Do that. Hello? Come on, what's happening there now? Hello? You know, it was good all the time. What kind of thing is this? Hello? Nah, man. Something. Hold on, Mr. Manning. Let me see if I have you now. Hello? Hello? Just now, Mr. Manning. I'm really trying to see what's going on here. All right, let's see now. Hello? Come on. Hello?
Hello?
Right. We have you there now. Mr. Manning, you laughing. These people serious, you know. These people serious, you know, Mr. Manning. This is not no joke, you know.
You know that's how it goes. Once you're telling the truth, people are going to be out to get you. That's the way it goes.
Wow. All right. So we have you loud and clear and clean now. No,
wonderful.
No scratchy song. Right. So
yes,
we just played a clip where you explained, you just said to us that we had how much it was?
$1 billion.
A billion US bond.
Which means we borrowed $1 billion
right.
in the international markets.
Right. And what is happening now with that?
Well, we borrowed at an interest rate of 4.5%.
Explain,
right? How does
explain that 4.5% interest rate for us.
Right. It means that we have to pay every year an interest rate of 4.5% on the $1 billion bond without any principal. And it was a bullet payment, which means at the end of the bond, at the end of the 10 years, you pay the full $1 billion. Right? And a one big bullet payment. So what they did to clear that bond is that they borrowed another $1 billion. So to pay off the old bond, which is called refinancing.
Right. But they didn't need to do that?
Well, they could have paid it off, but that's the choice they made. Right?
Okay.
You could have founded the USD, whether you got it from the reserves, from the HSF, wherever it is. And you could have paid it off, but they decided that it was better to refinance the bond instead. Okay?
But why you think that they would have done that, Mr. Manning?
Because they don't want to pay $1 billion to pay off the bond. They would rather keep that money for other purposes. But the problem in doing that is that they borrowed another $1 billion for a 10-year period, but at that interest rate of 6.5%, which is 2% higher than the original one. Ooh. So now the annual payments are huge, right? You're paying about, I think it's about $60 million US a year in payments, which is close to $500 million TT. Right? $500 million a year TT in just interest payments. And then 10 years from now, you have to pay the bullet payment of $1 billion US to close off that bond. So that strategy is called refinancing. Usually you refinance when you're getting a better interest rate. In this case, you're getting a worse interest rate of 2%. And it's going to create a drag on the economy because those payments have to be made rain, sleet, or snow. You cannot afford to default on a payment like that because it would severely hamper this country's ability to borrow in the international markets going forward. Usually, the default on a loan like that is straight to the IMF.
What?
Right? So that is what happened here. So they borrowed another billion at 6.5, and that annual payment is huge. And that's money that could be used to pay public servants, to invest in building capacity, to improve the lives of people in Trinidad and Tobago, to manage CPEP on an annual basis or whatever it is. Instead, it's going towards these annual payments, and that's the major challenge that we have.
Wow.
Right? So that's why it's so dangerous, and so many were so concerned because you already refinanced a bond at 4.5% at a higher rate of 6.5%.
But Mr. Manning, you are saying to us, you just explained to us that here what's going on. This is not going towards development.
Nope.
It's going
Not going
towards
towards paying teachers, not going towards paying our bills, investing in our people. It is just straight payment for money borrowed. That's it. So it basically creates a drag on the economy by pulling money that could be used for other things out of the economy to make those payments.
But Mr. Manning,
Yeah.
so let me ask you this. God so when the PNM comes back in office, will face with this debt?
Exactly, because it's for 10 years. So when the Minister of Finance on television saying, well, we didn't want to saddle future generations with debt, I want to know, what is he talking about? But that's exactly what they did, right? They kicked the can down the road, and they decided that they're not paying off this debt. They will leave that to somebody in the future to pay it off instead. And that's what they did.
But who is
What started with this government is just how much we have been lied to.
that is the next thing I want to get at.
That is the most perturbing thing. I have never seen a government just bold-faced lie to people in this country like this government has. You said one thing during the election campaign, one thing entirely, and then when you get into office, it is the exact opposite. It is the exact opposite of what you said. I see today, you saw the inheritance tax.
Yes.
All of a sudden, I nearly blew a fuse today when I saw that. Because that is exactly what they had been accusing the PNM of. Bold-faced lying, saying that the PNM was going to implement an inheritance tax. No, they had no mention of any inheritance tax in the manifesto, none in the budget, none in the finance bill, and now under the cover of darkness during the carnival season, HTC implements this inheritance tax. If you want to sell an HTC unit, you have to own it for 10 years. And then if your family members or somebody wants to inherit it, you have to pay 5% on the full market value of the HTC unit. Think about that for a second. That is a tax on transferring the property from one family member to another. And the previous tax, what the PNM had, it was what, $700 to make such a transfer. Now it's 5% of the total market value. How many vulnerable people who may be in an HTC unit you think could afford that? So what happens if you can't afford it? What happens? They repossess your home? Right? They said no property taxes, they bring a property tax. They said no inheritance tax, they bring an inheritance tax. Everything they said they wouldn't do is exactly what they're doing. I've never seen a government lie to the people of this country like this one. And it's embarrassing, and I think I think enough is enough, to be honest. I don't know, I can't take it anymore. Watching the newspaper every day and listening to the bold-faced lies and tolerating it.
But Mr. Manning, and while I hear you, and I totally agree with what you're saying, I just want to go back to our first discussion a little bit, because that has me a little uneasy. Mm-hmm. Our first discussion about this refinancing of this loan, right? Yes. The refinancing of this loan, you're saying to me, when the government before, which is the PNM government, took out that loan, what that was for?
That was for development. In general, we have developmental plans, whether it's fixing roads, maintenance, whatever it is used for. Right? Then we had the COVID crisis. We may have used part of it there. There are myriad reasons why you would take out a loan of that magnitude in US dollars at that point in time. Remember, too, energy markets collapsed in 2014 to 2016.
Yes.
The international energy markets collapsed.
Yes.
So we would have had to replace some of those revenues with loans. And that's really what a deficit budget looks like. When you have a budget where your expenses outstrip your revenues, you have to fill that gap with debt. You have to borrow that money. And usually that's, it could be money borrowed on the international markets, as we did.
Oh, so you already...
That's what you consider. $1 billion US is a huge sum for our local banks to absorb. $1 billion US is 7 billion TT. If the government went to market to borrow 7 billion TT at one go, I mean, that would be a huge strain on the local banking system.
Okay.
So they borrow the money internationally.
Internationally. All right. And you're saying to us on Constructive Talk this evening that the former government would have borrowed it because of COVID, when we had went through COVID, and for other development.
And to finance our deficit budgets, remember we had a collapse, which is a huge shortfall in foreign exchange when the international energy markets collapsed in 2014, 2016.
Okay. All right.
Right.
So that's why.
And that was at a low price at about 4.5% interest.
Right.
And now this government comes along and refinances $1 billion bond, which you will not have any benefit of, because the entire principle is used to pay off the old bond, and we have to pay 6.5% annual interest on the $1 billion bond.
Mr. Manning, Mr. Manning, you keep saying that like if it's just like it's
play money, right?
You just say that like you saying that to me like you went to the bank. I went to the bank about 10,000. So you just go and you refinance the 10,000 you borrow, and after you do that, you take it for 10 years now, and really and truly, Mr. Manning, what you're omitting from this conversation is that where are we getting the money from
to repay the bond?
To pay it. That is my question to you now. Where are we going to get the money from, Mr. Manning? Could you tell the nation, the people who listen?
And let me say something. International investors aren't stupid, right? The interest rate that you get on borrowings is usually a representation of your risk, usually default risk, which means your ability to repay the loan. So the higher the interest rate means that the less convinced international investors are that you can repay the loan. So when you see we go from 4.5 to 6.5, it means the international investors are concerned that we have less ability to repay our loans today than we did 10 years ago. And that is a major concern. At least when we borrowed that money 10 years ago, we could have put it immediately to work within our economy. Now we're just borrowing money to repay that bond and not have any cash available to reinvest in our economy. It's just to refinance a old debt. And that's going to create a huge drag. You paid $500 million TT in interest payments every year, which is dead money. It does nothing for our economy. Nothing.
I lost some words, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, it is concerning. And the way the minister, he came back and he ran and he had a press conference. And he just played it off like it was nothing. like it was, it was a huge success. Yeah, we were oversubscribed.
That's the other thing. While he was saying that, Mr. Imbert was saying, "What are you talking about?" Even Mr. Mariano Brown said, "But what are you talking about?"
Correct. He's the only one who thinks this was a success. No one else does. It was not a success.
Mr.
We
Manning.
refinanced our bond at a higher rate than we originally paid. Makes no sense.
So, well, it done happen already, so we can't do nothing for that.
No.
Okay. So, how is still an answer the question for me yet? How are we going to pay back this loan?
Only the good Lord knows. We have to, and the government doesn't care. What the investors would have looked at was our reserves and the HSF. So I expect some good returns from the HSF this year, but our foreign reserves are down. I mean, lower than they have been in a very long time, and they would have seen that too. So there's no revenue generation that we have seen that makes sense in terms of generating the kind of revenues required to repay that loan in 10 years. And they know they have a problem. That is why they wanted to revisit the Dragon deal after years of criticizing the same Dragon deal. Right? And I want the people of Trinidad and Tobago to notice. Every foreign investor we brought to this country to try to invest in Trinidad and Tobago, the UNC tried to denigrate them, insult them, slander them, make them look like criminals every single turn. We recently had some investors here from the United Arab Emirates, I think another country, looking to invest in Trinidad and Tobago. And the UNC was taking them around, fetting them and so on. Did you hear anything from the PNM trying to insult or denigrate these people?
Of course not.
Not a word. Because the People's National Movement puts people first and country first. We would not try to destroy the future prospects of our own country just for political gain. But the UNC has absolutely no problem doing that. When you had the smelter, they tried to mash that up. Same thing with sandals. Jindial from India. Well, I don't know what name they didn't call that for Gentleman and Company. They call them every which name possible. Dragon D. What have they not called Delcy? To the point where they can't even go and ask Delcy the Dragon Deal anymore. Because they denigrated her and insulted her so much in the past 10 years. They're too embarrassed now to try to talk to her, to try to renegotiate the Dragon Deal. And that's what's going on. That's the UNC. They'd rather mash up this country than not run it. That's who they are. So anytime anybody asks what's the difference between the PNM and the UNC, you just take a look at how these foreign investors have come here in the past 2 weeks, and no one in the PNM had anything negative to say about any of them. Because we hope they invest in Trinidad and Tobago and improve the lives of our citizens. Not so with the US.
So, Mr. Manning, you just said that you don't know how we're going to be paying back that loan.
No idea. There isn't even a project. At least before we could have appointed the Dragon Deal, right? Which would have been a significant increase in the foreign exchange revenues of this country. Now we have a government that is starving the manufacturing sector, which is the number one generator of foreign exchange outside of the energy sector. They want to now charge them higher rates, which will reduce their revenues, and somehow that makes sense to them. I want to remind the Minister of Finance, you can't tax companies that don't exist. They are taxing entire industries out of business. How are you going to increase revenues by taxing businesses that no longer exist? And we have a warning. The same thing that happened to this. What was the iron company some years ago? I get from Central, the iron company that shut down.
Yeah.
We were playing fast and loose with those people. The unions were asking for some ridiculous terms in a situation where the plant was no longer viable because of the collapse in the international price of their produce. And it ended up putting all of their membership on the unemployment line. Right? While the union members will continue to live off people's dues, all the employees were no longer employed now. And people need to be careful because some of these energy companies and manufacturing companies are going to say, Trinidad and Tobago is the only country in the world with gas. We could get gas elsewhere. We have other plants elsewhere. We'll shut down this plant and shift our operations to somewhere else. And where does that leave us? But this government is playing fast and loose with our economic future, and it's very worrisome.
So not even the taxes that they are taxing people would be able to suffice?
No, so how many businesses get put out of business? So how much taxes they getting from those businesses? And that's why I explained in Parliament there's something called a Laffer curve. A Laffer curve says with an increase in taxation, you initially see an increase in government revenues. But then you get to a point where there are diminishing returns, where you tax more and more and more, and you end up getting less and less revenue. Because it is harmful to your economy, and you don't get any tax revenues from businesses that no longer exist, because you tax them out of existence.
Wow.
All these bars closed down, all these restaurants closed down. How many carnival fêtes you've been seeing for the year? I know in San Fernando you see some big fêtes, but many of the small fêtes have been destroyed. Just not financially viable anymore.
So, Mr. Manning, so if you're now joining me on Constructive Talk, let me say good evening to those of you joining me. And I have live on the phone line my Member of Parliament, Mr. Brian Manning, and we are discussing a serious matter. The government has just borrowed $1 billion US, and we don't know how we're going to pay it back. They borrowed it for 10 years. We have to pay it back in 10 years.
And another $1 billion that are going to be put to work in the economy. Yeah? It's $1 billion to repay an old loan or to retire an old loan. That's what it is.
I am lost for words, Mr. Manning.
I'm telling you. I am telling you. The only person who thought this was a success was Dave himself. No one else.
All right. So, where's this boy? All right. So, Trinidad and Tobago, you all, and by extension, the world, you all just heard for yourself. Former Minister in the Ministry of Finance, Member of Parliament for San Fernando East, Mr. Brian Manning, explaining to us what is going on with our economy. But Mr. Manning, explain what is going on with our economy. People are saying that it feels as though we are at a dead stop.
A dead stop? No, not a dead stop. We are receding. And right now, the IMF is performing this article for evaluation of our economy. And I'm sure they're going to say exactly what everyone else is feeling, that our economy is being destroyed by this government. You're putting people on the streets, out of work. You're closing small businesses all over the country. And to what purpose? You're telling public service they're giving them 10% while increasing taxes on everything, while taking 19.2% in NIS contributions. It is hard to understand what this government is doing, because it just does not make any economic sense. And they can't explain it. And they seem very comfortable, which is the scary part. It is such a clumsy attempt because the people in charge don't understand what they are doing.
Are there not technocrats in the ministry, Mr. Manning, that could advise this government?
They are, but at the end of the day, the direction of the economy is done by the minister, by those elected to do that.
So all right, okay. All right, so Mr. Surat Singh, who is a minister in the Ministry of Finance, isn't he seeing what is happening and advising against?
Aren't they all? Are they all? But when the Minister of Finance says so is so, and the Prime Minister says so is so, what are the rest of them going to say? It's not so? How many people in the government you see with any kind of economic or financial acumen? Name some. Name somebody in this government with a background in economics or finance. Is it blind in the blind? There's nobody.
But that's why I was alluding to the fact that isn't it that the technocrats in the ministry could say, Madam Prime Minister, Mr. Minister, I think the road that the government is embarking on or going down is a road
let's say you colorblind, and I tell you red is blue and green is yellow. What you going to say? No?
Okay.
If you don't even understand what it is that you're being presented with, how you going to know which one to pick?
But as a former minister in the Ministry of Finance, I'm sure that you all would have gotten advice from the technocrats.
Oh, absolutely. That's what they're there for. That's what you're supposed to listen to. But at the end of the day, the final decision is yours. That's what you were elected to do.
Right.
So I think there are people in this Ministry of Finance who just not listening, because they're extremely capable people in the Ministry of Finance. And if you don't like the opinion you're getting from them, you can always find external consultants. There's several of the the consultancies that exist in Trinidad and Tobago, like that specialize in giving such advice, and they understand the economy very well, especially in the area of taxation. You have all kinds of consultants here who are very capable. So this is because it's just that the political directorate doesn't want to listen. They decided what they want to do, and they're going to do it regardless of what anyone says.
But okay, so we have reached a point where now, all right, they take this billion dollar US loan, and now we have reached the point where we are concerned about where this is going and how this could pan out, because we recognize that here what you in the opposition, and you would know, because I'm sure that you will get your documents from time to time. In order to debate a bill in the parliament, they would have to give you the relevant information for you to do your research and for you to come up with the another view. You looking at it and you recognizing that, hey, wait now, you all are borrowing $1 billion US. I saw where the minister sat down in a forum talking about and what he's saying may have some truth. Well, we know it's the truth that we are no longer an oil industry, we are gas industry, and we are now
gas economy. Yes.
We are a gas economy, sorry. And he was talking about, how we are now exploring different what it is he said? We are trying to diversify the economy and those different things. And he was talking. And
as I asked the minister in Parliament, please show me one way in which you have diversified this economy. One.
Well, he can't, eh?
He can't. It's just bold-faced smoke and mirrors. It's bold-faced lying. And that is what I find intolerable. The willingness to just lie to the people of this country is painful. I listen in the SOE debate, the ZOSO debate, where it is written in black and white that the person who has the unilateral decision to call a ZOSO, which is basically a geographical state of emergency, is the Prime Minister. Yet speaker after speaker swore up and down that was not the case. That it was a council. It was not a council. If you read the document, it is the Prime Minister on the advice of I think 2 other people. But she had the final word and the only word. The 2 other members could tell her whatever their opinion is. She was the one making the decision whether to call this thing or not. And yet speaker after speaker bold-faced lied to this country, saying that it wasn't the Prime Minister that had the final say. Of course it was.
Okay, so Mr. Manning, you have...
Yeah. No, it's scary. It's scary. Trust me.
I'm reaching to the point now where, I'm trying to find out really, Mr. Manning, how do we move forward? What is the plan forward? Because after he spoke and wherever, the media isn't questioning this Minister of Finance along those lines of, okay, so you have borrowed the money, how are we paying it back? All right, we when is this gas this thing that the Attorney General got from the US, the Prime Minister got from the US.
The OFAC license.
When is the OFAC license coming to an end?
I am not certain. I think it was a few months, right? They got 6 months or something.
Yeah, they got 6 months.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck. You still have, you see anybody going to Venezuela to have a chat with the?
But they are depending. They are depending on the, what you call them, the industry, the like Shell, BP, and those people to broker for them. So whatever deal they get, whatever.
Sir, the Venezuelan leader now is not a fool. I think she's going to know what benefits Trinidad and Tobago and what does not. Right? She's not a fool. She didn't become the leader of Venezuela by accident, by being a dummy. She knows what's going on. Why would you want to benefit a government that's been calling her a crook and every name possible for the past almost 10 years? I mean, even semi-literate Alexander calling her names the other day, talking out of turn, don't know what he's talking about, and severely damaging our international relations with a country whose assistance we need. Makes no sense. They have no business being in office. And that's it. That's the challenge. People ask, what's the solution? You got to get these people out. Because I don't see any other solution. We have to get them out. They're putting people on the unemployment line. Instead of building businesses and creating opportunity, they want to build a prison in Terminal Park. To put all the people that they put on the breadline in there for the next however many years. What's the point of that? They get rid of all the youth programs again. So if you are a vulnerable youth in the same social communities, and I want to learn a trade and whatever, where do I go now? In a handful of spaces in MIC or one of those things? Why get rid of youth programs? Why would any government do that? Because they're trying to create a permanent underclass of vulnerable people in this country. That's what they want to do. They want to have a permanent underclass. And the same people who they're trying to make a permanent underclass, ignorant and illiterate, and keep voting these people back into office. And I find it absolutely unacceptable and disgusting. UNC MPs don't have to do not one thing and get 13,000, 14,000 votes in a seat. PNM MPs had to be doing gymnastics in every constituency. You had to go and rub people's feet, tuck them in at night, cook them dinner, and sing them a lullaby. And then they still feel like I ain't gonna vote for you. While your children's future going on the drain, while your jobs going on the drain, while your economy going on the drain, while they charge you inheritance tax, they're taxing you on everything. And you talking nonsense about, well, I ain't see my MP, so I'm not voting. What's senior MP doing for you? It's the policies of the government you should be looking at. Not how much you like your MP. That's absolute rubbish. You have no MP in the past 5 years walk your constituency like I did in the past 5 years. I even catch COVID and almost died in hospital walking in San Fernando East. And people are going to still talk nonsense about, well, I ain't see you. You have to see me to protect your children's future. That makes sense to you? And now all your children can't go to school, can't find any programs. You're unemployed. You have no CPEP, no URP. People come into my office every week in tears, crying because they have nothing, and I have nowhere to send them our system. What am I supposed to do now? And that is painful. People think being an MP is fun. It's painful because you see at ground zero the harm that some of these decisions are doing to the people of this country. I have people crying in my office every week now. Every single week. They have nothing. They're down to nothing. You can't even say, well, okay, we'll go and talk to the mayor, give you a letter to see if you can get a job in the borough. I can't even say that now. Go down to URP and see. And that URP is for temporary unemployment in many cases. What people don't want to accept that there are people in this country who are unemployable because of their skills. They may have learning disabilities. They may have literacy problems. There are people who are unemployable. And you're making it difficult for those people to make any kind of honest living. But then you're going to target their homes and their communities with Zoso and take away all their rights and kick down the door in the middle of the night with no warrant and strip them and rough them up, and then they can't have no recourse and question them, and they have no right to remain silent and all of that. And then you're going to talk absolute nonsense in 5 years when I come to your house and you'll say, well, I see you.
But you know, Mr. Manning, while you're saying that, what's coming to mind is, you know, when I listen and I'm listening and I'm looking and I am convinced now that, you know, the UNC played a real good card on the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. What I mean by that is people, they knew exactly what the people, what people, they were listening to the people and hearing, oh, so they want this, all right, I will say this on the platform. Oh, they want that, all right, I will say that on the platform. Okay, what's the next thing are they looking for? Are they looking for 10%? I'll give only 10%. What they want again? All they want lower. You want me to remove the demerit points? I will remove the demerit points, and I will lie to Ole and Tell Ole that I will.
Again, like, even if it made no sense, they promised it. They said, yeah, no, we'll do that too. Even though it made no sense, they said no property tax. The first budget, property tax by a different name. That's exactly what they did, and it's still boasting, yeah, we get rid of the property tax.
But so citizens are now reaching to the point where they're recognizing that these people lied to us, and they are now in government, and they are adding on. So the inheritance tax that they were claiming and they were accusing the PNM of. No,
correct.
No, I want to play the clip for the listeners, you know, because I want and the viewers, I want you all to look at what was and you know what is sad about this is that the tail, the head, they asked Ms. Bissessa about
the head liar in charge.
So listen, you know, they asked the Ms. Bissessa about this whole property, this whole thing, right? And she responded like, yeah. They asked the minister, he said, I do not know that, I have to investigate it. I'm going to play the clip. Only listen to this. Listen to how these people play us for real fools. And some of us, I don't know, some of us ain't wake up as yet. Take a listen to this, Mr. Manning.
Former Housing Minister Randall Mitchell is revealing a hike in transfer and sale fees by the Housing Development Corporation.
In making the disclosure today, Mitchell shared an HDC stakeholder document detailing the new fee structure which takes effect immediately.
Tonight, the Prime Minister is defending that decision. Soyini Gray has the details.
Mr. Manning, I want you to just pause the video there. Because I want you to hear where the female news anchor said what? She said that the Prime Minister is doing what? Defending the position.
Yes.
That's what she said.
Yes.
Right? But I want you to listen what the minister had to say. Right? Listen there, Mr. Manning. Listen, you know.
Listen closely.
Thank you.
Former Housing Minister Randall Mitchell is revealing a hike in transfer and sale fees by the Housing Development Corporation.
In making the disclosure today, Mitchell shared an HDC stakeholder document detailing the new fee structure which takes effect immediately.
Tonight, the Prime Minister is defending that decision. Soyini Gray has the details.
The Housing Development Corporation is increasing its transfer and sale fees with immediate effect. The revelation came from former Housing Minister Randall Mitchell, who obtained the new fee structure in an HDC document. In making the disclosure today, Mitchell shared the stakeholder document dated January 29th. Previously, it cost $700 to transfer ownership of an HDC unit. However, with the changes, anyone inheriting a unit must now pay 5% of the purchase price to complete ownership. For a unit costing $500,000, this change is estimated at $25,000. A 10% fee applies on transfers of units older than 10 years in most other circumstances. Mitchell describes this development as scandalous. He also accuses the UNC of doing exactly what they had accused the PNM of planning to do when they were in opposition by imposing an inheritance tax. As opposition leader, Kamla Persad-Bissessar had criticized and accused the then PNM government of trying to impose a 25% inheritance tax. But now as Prime Minister, she is defending the move, saying the HDC is simply attempting to recoup some of the taxpayer money it had used to subsidize those property, alleging that people were profiting from transferring those homes. HDC Chairman Feroz Khan did not confirm or deny the validity of the document Mitchell shared and opted not to comment. When CNC3 News reached out to Housing Minister David Lee, he said neither he nor his permanent secretary were aware of any such policy. He has since ordered an investigation into the process. Soini Gray, CNC3 News.
Oh my goodness, Mr. Manning, you heard that?
I am unaware of in his own ministry.
Nobody Prime Minister answered.
Yes, exactly. So for the minister to say he's unaware is also a bold-faced untruth. Or the Prime Minister know and he have to investigate. He unaware. The answer should be no.
Mr. Manning, you understand what we going through in this country here, what?
When I was in the Ministry of Finance, somebody asked me, "Do you intend to implement what you call an inheritance tax?" The answer was no. Not I have to investigate. No, I am in there every day. I don't know what you're talking about. I've never heard anything like that. The answer is no. Not, well, I'll have to look into that and see if there's something we were considering and I just blinked and didn't see it. Right? That didn't happen. And the Prime Minister saying
Minister saying yes. But listen, let's listen. Let's listen to their inheritance tax. Right? Let us listen to their what they were talking about when they were proposing the inheritance tax. Listen, listen. I'm gonna play it from a news item here. Listen to this, Mr. Manning. You hear that, boy? We hear that real best. Listen to this Trinidad and Tobago.
Don't have anything useful to campaign on. So what do? They cannot engage this PNM on any of the sectors that we're on. So they now resort to lies. Have you all seen the Express on Wednesday, the 12th of July? There's an advertisement at the bottom. It says paid advertisement. Right? The first time I heard about an inheritance tax, I heard it from Mrs. Kamla Persad-Bissessar. Not a single person in government, in a radio program, in a TV program, in a column, in an article, in a joke, ever mentioned that. That was never an issue in this country. But they want something to incite people, to make you feel as though you're going to lose something, and therefore Kamla Persad-Bissessar fabricate this monstrous lie that this government is contemplating and is planning to impose an inheritance tax. So when you pass your house or your piece of land to your child or your grandchild, the government will charge them 25% of the value of the land. The UNC sat down in their office and concocted that lie, plain and simple. So immediately, the Minister of Finance, who is this country's authority on taxes and finance and revenue, came out and said, it is not true. The government has never discussed that. It is not government policy. It forms no part of the program of the PNM. You think they would stop there? Because they have invested in this lie and it is meant to incite the people, they go and pay and put an ad in the newspaper on the lie that they have created, telling them they are bringing 25% inheritance tax. Well, in Parliament, I would have had to say, Mr. Skamle Prasad Bisesa, you're speaking terminological inexactitudes. You are talking untruths. But in Tunapuna, on this platform, I could say, Mr. Skamle Prasad Bisesa, you lie.
The upstate.
Hey, yeah.
And it's sad, but he asked the minister for that. He immediately said, it is untrue. You must know what the policy is in your ministry because you're the one setting policy. So how you can say you have to investigate? Who investigating? Himself? Who's the minister of housing investigating? Somebody else making policy in the Ministry of Housing besides him? I mean, come on, who you trying to fool?
You know what is so amazing about this is that, hey, these people really don't undermine Trinidad and Tobago, you know. These people are fool Trinidad and Tobago people, you know. So you'll campaign and say PNM going to bring an inheritance tax in all your ways.
Yeah.
And it's you bringing it.
You bring any tax. It's embarrassing. It's shameful because they played everybody for a fool and we fell for it. Not we. I didn't fall for it. Right? Many fell for it. So I'm not taking no blame for falling for nonsense.
I want to play the inheritance tax one more time. For those of you who don't come on the live, I want you all to listen attentively to how you just heard Dr. Rowley. Listen and hear now, Mr. Manning, some or the other. Is it that their inheritance tax more than PNM one? Because Dr. Oli said it was 25%. How much is their one?
So the PNM never had any inheritance tax. So anything they have is more than zero. We never proposed any inheritance tax ever. That was always them.
Oh, God. Hey,
right? The PNM never proposed that.
Hey, these people wicked in a way.
Evil. And then people are going to still talk about they will vote for them and give them a chance. It's not a raffle. The children's future on the line.
These people are them evil, why? These people are different.
They're not good. When people say, sometimes I sound angry in Parliament because I know who we're dealing with. But these people have attacked me and my family for the past 2 decades. The things they have tried to do to me and my family, I can't even begin to tell people because they wouldn't believe it. So I know who they are, and I'm not falling for their nonsense.
Wow.
I'm not. I know who they are.
So let's listen.
They are trying to create a permanent underclass of people in this country, and those people keep falling for their nonsense.
Yeah.
You and your children are trying to make new age slaves in this country for the rest of time. And you keep saying, I'm gonna give them a chance like a fool. So go ahead.
Let's play for them. Let's play for them again, Mr. Manning. What they could expect coming very soon. Coming to our neighborhood near you.
Yes.
Former Housing Minister Randall Mitchell is revealing a hike in transfer and sale fees by the Housing Development Corporation.
In making the disclosure today, Mitchell shared an HDC stakeholder document detailing the new fee structure which takes effect immediately.
Tonight, the Prime Minister is defending that decision. Soyini Gray has the details.
The Housing Development Corporation is increasing its transfer and sale fees with immediate effect. The revelation came from former Housing Minister Randall Mitchell, who obtained the new fee structure in an HDC document. In making the disclosure today, Mitchell shared the stakeholder document dated January 29th. Previously, it cost $700 to transfer ownership of an HDC unit. However, with the changes, anyone inheriting a unit must now pay 5% of the purchase price to complete ownership. For a unit costing $500,000, This change is estimated at $25,000. A 10% fee applies on transfers of units older than 10 years in most other circumstances. Mitchell describes this development as scandalous. He also accuses the UNC of doing exactly what they had accused the PNM of planning to do when they were in opposition by imposing an inheritance tax. As opposition leader, Kamla Persad-Bissessar had criticized and accused the then PNM government of trying to impose a 25% inheritance tax. But now as Prime Minister, she is defending the move, saying the HDC is simply attempting to recoup some of the taxpayer money it had used to subsidize those property, alleging that people were profiting from transferring those homes. HDC Chairman Feroz Khan did not confirm or deny the validity of the document Mitchell shared and opted not to comment. When CNC3 News reached out to Housing Minister David Lee, he said neither he nor his permanent secretary were aware of any such policy.
Neither he nor his permanent secretary could verify, and he will have to inquire.
Yeah, but somehow the Prime Minister knew. So how she get the information?
And but the reporter said it twice that she's defending it.
Correct.
She's not
she even had the basis for the tax. Why it was implemented it? But the minister, he don't know nothing. You have to investigate.
You know, people must be upset that we laughing. Let me tell you something. You know why I laughing? It better I laugh than I sit down in front of this microphone and shout down this microphone and ball in this microphone. Because at the end of the day, you all were warned. The people of this nation were warned. You know, I was looking at the news, Mr. Mad. I was looking at the news, Mr. Madding, tonight, right? And I couldn't believe that the transport minister wants to charge people for having a cell phone holder in their cars.
Yeah. And many people use that to lower their insurance, because they have their phone going. So in case of any accident, you know, you have a video recording of what occurred. It's ready to protect yourself from people who may, you know, be dishonest or for insurance purposes. So the government is so desperate for funds and so short on ideas that they will charge you for breathing just now. Just for living. Just open your eyes, you'll start to get charged. Because they have no ideas, and that's the best they can do.
Well,
it's sad.
It is very sad. It is very sad.
Cancel every youth program. Tell people, don't take the money in New Jersey today and have no job tomorrow, and or your children can't go to school, or no training programs for your children. You take the fridge and have nothing to put in it the next day. And so said, so done. So said, so done. That's exactly what is happening.
Wow.
How many times you fall for the same trick? How many times?
Well, Mr. Madding, I will listen to this one. You take it easy, listen to this one. Here now, Trinidad and Tobago, only listening. Take a listen to this one, Mr. Manning.
The use of windscreen-mounted devices in your vehicle may soon become a ticketable offense, as government says it has taken note of its increasing use.
Responding to a question in the Senate today on the use of these devices, Transport Minister Eli Zakur said these devices have the potential to distract drivers and obstruct visibility. Minister Zakur said his ministry is now closely monitoring the growing trends in mobile and external devices, as they may undermine the intent and effectiveness of existing driving laws.
This review is aimed at determining whether additional regulatory provisions, clear definitions, or strengthened enforcement mechanisms are required to adequately address emerging forms of distracted driving. The overarching objective remains that the law be responsive to technological change while preserving the paramount goal of protecting lives and promoting safer routes.
Well, it's important to note that the minister spoke to peripheral devices which are external and aside from built-in screens that come with newer models of vehicles.
Mr. Manning?
Yeah, I wish I could say I'm surprised, but I'm still in shock for the inheritance tax, so it don't surprise me. Nothing surprises me right now.
But Mr. Manning,
Yeah.
let me tell you something. Something came to mind just now. Because they're even talking about the dashboard cameras, which, as you rightfully said a while ago, that people are using to help them in their defense with their insurance. So if a car in front of them does something foolish or whatever happens, they have the camera footage to show it.
They have video evidence. Yeah, they have video evidence.
But they are now saying that they're going to make it a ticketed offense.
Yeah, you tell me this Minister of Transport doesn't know that? That he doesn't know exactly what I just said to you? And he's the Minister of Transport?
Only what really going on in this place, boy?
Any excuse to add another tax, another fine, another fee, because they spent the past 20 years scaring off every revenue generating project and investor in this country. And now they found themselves in this position, in an economy that they have created. When we try to have Sandals to create employment, they call them every name in the book. Say they're trying to make the people of this country into bell boys and bell girls. What utter rubbish. Sandals making millions of dollars for say SVG and other Caribbean islands. Tens of millions of US dollars and creating employment. Now the government is struggling for revenue. They have to tax the living daylights out of everyone. That can't make sense. That's not governance.
So what can we do, Mr. Manning? I'm telling you, this thing is getting serious, you know.
You have to get them out of office. I don't know if I can take 5 years, just to be honest. I don't know if I can take it. It's too much.
This is serious.
Every week is some ridiculous nonsense. Some new insult every week.
And we're seeing where in the Senate today, they were trying to take the Prime Minister to the Privileges Committee, the independent senator and I believe Mr. Alwari, and
president.
Yeah, the Senate president not having it.
Yeah. Welcome to the UNC. Same thing in the lower house. We have people saying the most derogatory statements right in front of the speaker, and he didn't hear it.
But this is becoming really, really alarming, eh? This is really becoming alarming, and Mr. Manning, although we laughing and we upset and we people there's so much that people could take, Mr. Manning. I've been in unity, yeah?
I agree.
There is so much that people can take, and right now the country is saying that we have had enough.
I am telling you, in the last 5 years, I used to speak in my office every week. Every now and again, somebody would cry. I am telling you, I have been seeing people that every week I have 2-3 people crying in my office, crying because they lost everything, they lose their jobs, and they have nothing else, and they don't know what to do. And don't know where to go, and don't know anything.
So what is so if you're now joining us, Mr. Manning, I have my MP, Mr. Brian Manning. He was Minister in the Ministry of Finance, and he is the MP for San Fernando East. And I brought my Member of Parliament on to bring some clarity on the $1 billion US that the government has borrowed. He is saying that has nothing to do with with day-to-day running of the country. Don't think that money going to pay teachers. Don't think that money is going towards building, fixing roads, or anything like that. That money is just to repay a debt. And we have to know we incurred that debt for 10 years. I said it right?
Correct. That was very well done.
And yeah, Mr. Manning, we went into, Mr. Manning would have explained to us also that the economy is really at a virtual standstill because most of the small businesses that would have been helping keep the economy going, the small entrepreneurs and they who are now closing their doors. Why? Because the people who would have purchased from them are at home, which are CPEP workers, URP, forestry, and all the others. They are at home, and the economy is really at a standstill. And we are a gas economy, and we are looking at where we are now, where gas is concerned, and we're seeing where there are companies in Point Lisas that are closing their doors because, and we're seeing also where TCL is raising their price on cement.
Yes. I think of course all construction and all investments in the country. Another brilliant move by the government. But is it that this government single-handedly destroying our economy? That's what they're doing.
But what people are asking though, Mr. Manning, is it that this government is trying to close down TCL so that another cement company, private company, can take over the market? Because what they're saying is that if the tariff, if they were to limit the amount of cement that foreign cement company brings in to Trinidad and Tobago, then TCL might be able to lift the head above water.
That'd be viable, right?
Yeah.
I could not say what the reason is for this policy. I'd have to hear what reason they are giving. I can't say. I don't know what they're doing because it makes no sense. It does not make any sense. You can't generate additional revenues out of an economy that you have crushed. And that's the difference when you have people say, run government like a business. That's the only worst advice possible. Government is not a business. If I'm running a business and I need to cut costs, I could fire employees. I could reduce my costs in some cost-cutting measures. So be it. When you're running an economy, you can't just cut people because they don't go away. They don't just disappear. If people aren't employed, they're going to end up in social welfare. You're still going to be paying for them one way or another. And if those people aren't working and aren't making an income, it's going to affect the rest of your economy because now they don't have money to spend. So you're going to slow down your overall economy. You're hurting your own sales. It's not the same. And there's a kind of a shopkeeper mentality on those people running the economy right now that does not make any sense. You're not running a small business where we had to meet costs, so let me just increase prices here, add a tax here, and fire some people here, and that will bring everything in line. It doesn't work that way. That is not how an economy works. If you put enough people on the breadline, it's going to starve your overall economy. Because now those people don't have any money to spend either. It hurts you, it hurts the private sector, it hurts everyone.
Wow. I just listening to you now, I lost for words when I hear you say certain things. I am totally dumb.
No, all the things they said, they criticize CPEP over and over and over. Look at this condition of this country. Look at the condition. You look at the garbage and look at the bush all over this country and use a bad talk CPEP and say there was no need for CPEP. Is that true? It's not true. At least CPEP workers are putting on honest day's work and contributing to this country and making money and being able to send their children to school and can be proud of our honest day's work. Not have to go on to social development and put their hand out and beg this government for money every month. Wow. And that's exactly what they want. Is a new age slave, you're a modern day slave.
Well, let's take some calls, Mr. Manning. I know I have you on long. I just want to take a few calls and then I can send you on your way. All right? Let's take some calls. Hello, good evening, caller.
Good evening to you, Pastor Google.
Good evening,
and
sir.
Your esteemed guest there, the member from San Fernando East, whom I know very well. Used to train him in the morning. You remember? Behind the bridge, yes, he knows. Knows this very well. Mr. Manning?
Yes. Yes, sir.
So, according to Pastor Google, this administration borrow money to pay back a loan that we had to pay back. You're not confused with that statement you make, Mr. Man, because I try to make sense of. I know you say it ain't making sense, but the maths ain't matching up somewhere. Yes, I don't understand. That's not making sense to me.
It's called refinancing. And the original loan was 4.5%. The new loan is 6.5%, 2% higher than the former one. And it costs taxpayers in this country about $500 million TT dollars a year in payments. And the Minister of Finance says that was a success.
I do understand. But anyway, it's a lot not to understand with this administration.
Thank you very much. You'll never understand.
Yeah, look, from the time I see Nutrient lock up the shop, one of the mainstays for this economy, decide, well, enough of this foolishness. For a simple thing like port fees. Then I have to ask myself, as a citizen, what's really going on in this country, boy? But I'll be just a simple on Pastor Google, you know.
That's a government that doesn't see the big picture.
What was going on in this country before April the 20th?
Well,
what was going on?
Well, let's take some more calls. Mr. Manny will answer. All right.
Thanks for calling. I appreciate it.
Yeah, let's take this other caller. Hello, good evening, caller. Hello, good evening, caller.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, sir.
You know, in addition to what that caller just said before, and what you and Mr. Manning have been discussing for the past few minutes, Mr. Manning, will you explain to shareholders of NGL, like myself, what is going to happen on Thursday? You heard about that one, Pastor Google?
No.
Well, NGL is having a shareholders meeting. They were not able to offer a dividend, right? And they are proposing, they are bringing an amendment to the shareholders to have $2 billion of ordinary shares be converted against the liabilities of the company, because they're saying that the liabilities now cover the liabilities outweigh the profit of the company. So the only way they'll be able to pay a dividend to us is if they're able to liquidate $2.2 billion worth of ordinary shares. They are bringing a resolution, I believe it's on Thursday, on the 5th, to ask the shareholders to approve that resolution so they can pay dividends. That is a serious thing. That is
so they're liquidating shares to pay dividends to existing shareholders.
To pay dividends. And Mr. Manning, I know when the board that you all had in place who were managing that is madness. People like Mr. Loquan and people like Mr. Ken Julian, you know, Mr. Loquan, Russell Stone, and Professor Julian, the architect of our gas industry. They must be like
actual energy experts, not this chairman of the NGC that we have now.
You understand?
He has no idea what he's doing.
So I am to go 10 a.m. tomorrow at the ballroom in Hilton to vote on that, on to allow them to give me dividend, because of why? Bad management by them. In addition to that, what you are having discussion, remember they want to bring a tax on the creatives as well and on sportsmen. So
yes,
you understand? Right? And in the Senate today they debated apparently these people don't understand how CUT operates. That CUT is the entity that was set up to look after distributing royalties for our creatives and allowing them to pay the state what they owe the state. Isn't that so, Mr. Manning?
Absolutely. Make sure they get their royalties and pay properly for their work.
Thank you. And then when you look at the sportsmen now, okay, let's look at the gentlemen who play sports for us, Akil Hussein and everybody else who are involved in franchise cricket, right? They already pay at the source of where they get their monies. So if they're in the IPL in India, they will pay tax in India. When they go to South Africa, all the leagues they go to, they pay their taxes to those countries. So when you say no, when they come back home and they remit monies here, that they pay taxes on that now?
How much tax do you expect to raise by taxing soccer artists and sportsmen in this country? It's just vindictive. It makes no sense.
Right? Who is going to win?
But let me can I say this? Can I say this to the both of you?
Yes.
I remember when the UNC said that the PNM want to tax artists, and Dr. Rowley and Mr. Imbutter, they had to come out and say that is a lie. It is just like the inheritance tax again.
No,
you're exactly right.
Here is the scary thing about the inheritance tax, gentlemen. Now remember, this is your legacy to your children. So after you and your children would have, because you know that is what happened, particularly MP Manning. You and your daughter, your son, you would have gotten the apartment together. But you come into the end of your working life, your son or your daughter or your relative who you get the house with is now entering their productive years. So the idea is that after you pay a mortgage, you will give this to the person. So you are now telling the person that, listen, after your mother, your father, your aunt, your uncle give this to you, you now have to pay for that after they would have been paying for X amount of years. So that's punishing people for doing the correct thing.
And that's just punishing some of the most vulnerable people in the country. This is not a tax on the wealthy. This is a tax on people who are already struggling.
HDC people, they never said across the border. They said that this is for HDC. And what HDC developments were built for? It was built for low income.
Correct.
This is government love people. Only me alone.
This is a war on the poor. That's what it's government is doing. They're waging a war on the poor people in this country.
And before I go, right, look at this one that I am seeing. Is this a plot, gentlemen, to destroy AGC's clientele? So tell in perspective, people who want to come into the AGC system, boy, hey, go out there in the private market, because AGC mightn't be for me or you. A young professional, a young couple who has now started the working life, probably young graduates, you know what I mean? Come together and they get married and so on. When you're telling them now that the dream of home ownership from the AGC mightn't be for you?
Well, after they promise to build 5,000 houses a year in the election, good luck.
Yeah. Sad, but it's concerning. It's concerning, and if these things don't wake other people up, well, I don't know what will happen again, gentlemen. Thanks for the opportunity as usual.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for calling. Appreciate it.
Beautiful. We're taking a few more calls, Mr. Manning, if you don't mind.
Sure.
All
no
right.
problem.
We're taking a few more calls. 464-7003. 464-7003. This is really interesting, you know. This whole thing, they just spin this thing on people, boy.
Yeah. It's deceitful, is what it is.
They just spin this whole thing on people, and people are and like, it's like, wow. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening, Pastor Gogo.
Hi, good evening, sir.
Mr. Manning, I just want to ask one question. I know they have borrowed some this money recently. What about the money that they had borrowed before from the HSF? Did that happen, or did they give accountability for it? What really going on with that?
They took about $600 million out of the HSF and the foreign reserves, and they're yet just to explain why or what it was used for. And no matter how many times you ask the question, you still are not unable to get an answer.
So we had this 600 and something million US, and now $1 billion US, and we still don't know what's going on.
We don't know what's going on.
Right. Well, as we say, that we in a state. But thanks for your clarity and everything.
So wait, just now caller, before you come off. Just now, before you come off. You ask two questions.
Yes.
One, you asked Mr. Manning. They took money out of the Heritage and Stabilization Fund. How you know that?
Well, I was listening in Parliament, and I hear somebody that asked.
Right.
They didn't really answer, but I don't know. I wasn't following up through, like, up to now. So I didn't know exactly if answer eventually came. So as Mr. Manning, I wanted to find out if
I think it was Mr. former Minister of Finance Dan Paul that asked the question. Yeah. And today we waited for an answer and we can't get one. We tried to ask the question in Parliament and the Speaker has not allowed the question to be asked, and we have been unable to get an answer.
Yeah, because as a citizen, I would like to know, because remember, we just talking about when they take this billion US that our grandchildren and great-grandchildren had to pay for, and this is a next piece of money going and we don't really know what's going on. So I would like to know,
the people of this country should know. And that's another thing with us. There's no transparency. They try to hide everything. We can barely get questions approved in Parliament. They don't want to be held accountable because they know what they're doing is nonsense. And they don't want people scrutinizing them either.
Well, they go straight to the All right. Have a good night. You explain everything good for, I've got a little more clarity when you said they take the billion and, it's a debt that we going to, have to pay down or whatever.
Yes.
So thank you very much for that.
You're most welcome, sir.
You're welcome.
And Mr. Manning, that's the purpose of this program. The name of the program is Constructive Talk because we want to be able to properly educate and inform the listeners and the country and people who are listening outside of Trinidad and Tobago on what it is going on in this country. Let's take this call. Hello, good evening.
Good afternoon, Pastor. Good afternoon to the MP also. Pastor, listen. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Listening to this, and it clearly shows that the UNC on the attack of certain class of people, they don't want the middle class in this country. If they have money or they don't have money. And according to Mr. Manning, if you have or you don't have, if they have slavery or you have no chance. They don't want the middle class in this country. Because you can't tell me. Seven?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, you can't tell me. After your mother or father work and pay for the house and probably pass away or whatever, and you use the house, you still have to pay for a single house? Really?
Yeah. And a deed for the house is a serious thing. Without the deed, there's certain things you can't do. You can't use as collateral. You can't apply for, say, a home improvement grant. So having the deed is important for it to be transferred.
And you see how they do stuff like a TV Unite. Everything they're doing like a TV Unite. You ever wake up and hear this happening? You ever wake up and hear that happening? No, according to Mr. Man.
But that will vote for
accountability. No accountability.
Absolutely.
Yes, waking up and hearing this bill coming, this law imposed.
Yep.
Well, you ain't seen nothing yet. This is it's not even a year yet. Thanks so much, caller. It's not even a year yet, Mr. Manning.
Yeah.
It is not a year. I don't think we both feel it's 3 years gone, It's not 3 years.
It feels like it's forever.
It's not 3 years, I want to just remind the listeners and the callers that this is not 3 years, You know what this is? What months is this, Mr. Manning? 10 months?
9 months.
9 months. 9 months. And 9 months, they're not ready they want to hit their return tax. Here now, somebody said it, Mr. Manning, and it making sense now. Do all the bad that you want to do now to the people, so that when election comes around, they will forget.
I know that's one way of thinking, but just say that if there's something to look forward to in the next 4 years, what are we looking forward to? What are we hoping to happen in the next 4 years?
Somebody said 9 months. Somebody said 9 months feels like 9 years. Let's take this caller. Hello, good evening, caller.
Hey, pleasant good night to you, Pastor, and pleasant good night to Mr. Manning, sir. Mr. Manning, my question to you is tonight. I think last year, after during the budget debate, right? The IMF team supposed to be visiting Trinidad very soon. right? I think most likely it's supposed to be before the midterm review, right? And normally that they will have the IMF staff report on TNT. Before all of that, right? There's the meeting supposed to is with the opposition and the government, right? Is that meeting still carried on?
Yes, it is. And other stakeholders, they meet with the banking system, energy sector people. They meet with all the major stakeholders in the Trinidad and Tobago economy to get a rounded view of what they believe the future prospects of the economy look like.
So in these consultations, you cannot hold back information from the IMF to them, right? Like the government can't really hide anything.
A previous UNC government did just that, and it was met with an immediate downgrade. It is the punishment is severe for withholding information, but you cannot say hide information. But the government can decide not to give information, but it is to their detriment to do something that crazy.
Wow. Okay. My last two questions. The import cover. Are we at 5 months of import cover still, or I'm getting a rumor mill that we're coming close to 3? We're coming close to 3.
The last time I heard we were close to 5. I'll have to wait till the central bank report to see if that has moved on any lower. But remind people, before April, Trinidad and Tobago had an import cover of over 8. It was one of the best in the region, and we were the only investment-grade country in CARICOM and one of the few in Latin America and the Caribbean. I'm pretty sure after the next IMF evaluation, that will no longer be the case.
Okay. And with the Saudis that visited the country in the last 2 weeks, so they had a week visit. You all heard anything of any prospects coming out of that? That's my last question. Have a good night.
Yes, I hope you noticed that they were not abused by the PNM in any way whatsoever. We never tried to deter any kind of foreign direct investment. I've not heard of an actual investment from this group, but we do hope that foreign direct investors do find Trinidad and Tobago to be a suitable place to invest and create opportunity here for the country and for our people. But I have not heard anything specific about this group of investors.
All right, let's take this call. Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening to you, Pastor Uday.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening to Mr. Man, MP, Mr. Manning. I work with you, with your father, at your residence, at the diplomatic center around officer here. But I want to ask a question. If Standard & Poor's gives a poor rating, what are we going to borrow more money for? To get our next more rating? It can make no sense.
A poor rating increases our interest rate.
So we have to pay double the amount.
We have to set up paying. That's why 10 years ago we paid 4.5 for $1 billion US. Today we pay 6.5. If we get downgraded, it's going to be even more. So now the cost of borrowing starts to increase, and it's going to increase interest rates across the country. Every bank, car loans, mortgages, all of those interest rates will rise because the opportunity for default also increases. And that's why you try to avoid a downgrade. But at this rate, I think a downgrade is inevitable at this point with this government.
Well, but I would tell you, come out of this situation, we look for it. I say we look for it because the end of the day, Mr. Rowley says, I could only give you this. But as time goes by, your data is increased. But we want a whole cake. And get a whole cake, so we have to live with it. And people born here now, and everybody's feeling the pinch. So I always say, you have much years again with them, you have to find something to get them out. You have to keep putting pressure on them. Putting pressure. Yeah. And the only way we could do, because they will, I don't think, like, she have a playbook and Donald Trump, The same pattern, she's forging, we tell you how Donald Trump operating. And furthermore, if you invest in a country, and you go out and you bring investment, so you make your country viable. But right now, we country have no investment, nothing moving, nothing going on. Look at this thing.
You saw how they denigrated Every foreign investor they pay them invited to this country. They attack them personally. They attack their families. They attack their business. It was sad. It was pathetic.
And listen to me. Before I go, I went by the health center in Marlin to get a checkup. And when you look over by the health center, they don't cut up all in the back there with the full road and lights. Up to now, they ain't built a house, you know. If they go up to Princeton with the freedom of the king, up to now, they ain't put on a block. Yeah. But we want to say they build 500 houses. Something wrong with this place. Totally wrong. Yeah. But all I can tell you, Mr. Manning, you just have to pray and ask God to keep you. That's what I can tell you.
Thank you very much, caller.
All the best.
Thank you.
All the best. Thanks for calling.
All right, so we take one more call, Mr. Manning, and I will relieve you. One more call. So let's take this call. Hello, good evening.
Hey, Pastor Google. Good night, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good day. This is your partner from the water taxi.
Hey, how you going, man?
Hi, day, man. Hi, day. Good night to you. Good night to Mr. Manning. Good night. Good night.
Hi, good evening.
So, I'm glad Mr. Manning is on the program tonight because I would like his insights into what I'm about to say because I've been observing things in the economy locally as well as the geopolitical scene. So in terms of locally, we are seeing people losing their jobs, we're seeing businesses closing down, and the government increasing taxes across the board. So my question is, are we in a unofficial IMF policies in Trinidad and Tobago? Because we're seeing the signs of similar IMF policies when IMF goes into countries, right? Yeah. So that's one. And secondly, on the geopolitical stage, when you look at countries are pulling away from the US dollar. Well, I know the US dollar is the world currency and it is needed by all countries over the world to do transactions. But when you look at America, you have empires, and empires have different stages. America is the biggest empire right now in this stage in the world, but they are on a downward spiral, right? Their dollar is decreasing in strength, right? And you're seeing central banks all over the world are buying gold more and more to kind of hedge themselves against the US dollar to protect themselves. So my question is, I'm not seeing the present administration trying to protect Trinidad and Tobago from being, too much in too how should I put it, too dependent on the US dollar. What are they doing to diversify our economy, right? What are they doing to hedge against, the US dollar in case, the US dollar? Well, I don't know if it will happen in our lifetime, but I'm not seeing things happening where we can protect our economy. In fact, we're going to borrow. We just borrowed $1 billion US, right? Yeah. So I don't know if Mr. Manning could give some insight.
Why do you want to trouble Dave with these hard questions? You don't see the man having a hard enough time right now raising funds?
It's been on my mind because I seen signs around the world that people are pulling away from the US dollar, and yet still we going headfirst towards that direction. So yes. It's something to look at and something to think about.
Yeah, I don't believe that the US dollar going to be replaced as the international business currency anytime soon, but there has been a fall in its value of late, and that is of concern. A lot of people have, as you have correctly said, hedging with gold to ensure the maintaining value of their investments during this period. But if you notice recently, I think it was India decided to purchase oil from the US and not with Russia. So that kind of put a damper on everybody who was talking about this BRIC theory, about this BRIC union, because India now has broken ties with Russia and is buying oil from the United States. So the market volatility is something to be concerned about, but I don't think we're going to see a tectonic shift anytime in the near future. There's a lot going on with AI and technology and how that is changing the world at this point in time. But I don't think you're going to see a fundamental economic shift where the US dollar is all of a sudden no longer the business currency of the world. Not in short order anyway. Right? But you are right, there is cause for concern. and that we need to diversify our economy. That should have been job number one. But instead of trying to generate revenues from investment, they're trying to generate revenues by taxing the population. And this is what austerity measures look like. The only thing missing really is the devaluation. And as far as we know, that may be coming before the end of the year. So let's wait and see.
But you know, just to time a little bit on the conversation. You know, I from time to time I would visit the UK. Right? I would go to London and hang out sometimes. And you know, if you have US on you and you decide to go, like let's say you go in the mall or you go to a sneaker shop or whatever, they are not taking that US, you know. People in the UK don't want no part of the US, you know. They just, when you can them US, they say no, we don't accept that.
And it's of lesser value than the dollar and the euro, right? So
yeah, they don't want no part of the US. The US dollar, you could actually, when you're leaving the UK and you want to buy US to come to Trinidad with, they just tell you we don't have that. Sorry, we don't have that. If you want euros, yeah, you can buy euro, but US, we don't. And it always baffles me. I am always surprised that, you know, a currency that we in Trinidad adore. In some of those first world countries, I saw a guy did a video in China. He had 100 US and he was trying to buy something, and the people in China told him, "Hey, we don't accept that here. Sorry."
No, but my humble view of what America does to other countries around the world, I like to break it down like this. Let's say you have a mango tree, right? America would come and buy out all your mango on your tree for like $5. Then to create the final product, which let's say is a mango chow, it will cost them an extra $5 to make the mango chow. They will come now and sell that same mango chow to you for $20, right? So basically, they give you money to take it back with profit. You know, that's how I see what America does around the world.
But that's what they've been doing with our energy sector for over 100 years, right? They take our gas and our oil to fuel their industries and to create their products, and then market them and sell it back to us.
Right. So that's why we need to diversify.
And the Vision 2020 was for us to use our own oil and gas locally to create jobs and create industries and to produce our own goods and services, which we can then sell to the world.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And that's why grandfather, Mr. Manning, was trying to, that's why he wanted us to get into the smelter industry.
Right.
Iron, steel, plastics, aluminum. If we produce those four base products, it gives us a manufacturing industry that can produce anything at a world-class level. It would have dramatically transformed Trinidad and Tobago as we know it. The UNC went out of their way to undermine and destroy every single aspect of the program, especially the smelter. They paid $1 billion in fees just to cancel the smelter project.
And I remember after that, in 2010, you saw where aluminum went up sky high.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were building planes. They were starting they were getting rid of the old planes, and they started to build.
Instead of iron and steel, even motor vehicles in the US were switching from iron and steel to aluminum. Ford F-150 was the highest selling vehicle in America.
As you mentioned, 2010 was the time where they should have pushed that diversification, because we had the high oil and gas prices in that period.
Yep.
But to me, they squandered the chance, to do that.
Who destroyed it? Tell me one diversification project we had between 2010 to 2015. Name one. Yeah, that's the answer. None.
I know what to say. I just find like you just silence on the phone.
No,
that's the answer. None.
Nothing happened. Nothing happened during that time.
And everyone that we have tried since then, they have tried to undermine. The Sandals, Dragon, everything. because they don't want foreign direct investment here as long as the PNM was in office.
Wow.
Because that is who they are. They want to Trinidad and Tobago burn and allow that to happen.
All right.
Wow.
All right, Mr. Manning. Well, thanks for your time and thanks for your insight on Google. All the best, bro.
Thanks very much for calling, man.
Yeah, man.
And that's what the program is about. The program is Constructive Talk, Mr. Manning. Mr. Manning, that's what Constructive Talk is about.
We're constructing.
Yes. Yes. You understand? All right. So somebody said, good evening, Pastor Google. Somebody saying Carnival coming while everybody will be jumping up on the UNC. The UNC gonna be planning for me. They're dealing with me dread. While you jumping up in the night, it's laying your juve.
Yeah. Your money jumping up in the bank.
Wow. So, Mr. Manning, let me say thank you very, very much for being on with me this evening. And I could clearly, you are sure you can see without a shadow of a doubt that the conversation was one that, you know, you feel good that people are being aware and alert on what is happening in Trinidad and Tobago. People want to know, Mr. Manning.
Very productive, and I appreciate that. That's why I'm always trying to make myself available to be on your program because, of course, you're the voice of San Fernando, and people who listen to this program are those who want to be informed about what is really going on in this country. So I appreciate you and your audience very much.
I'm thankful. We have 832 persons watching at after 10 in the night, minutes to 11. That says something, Mr. Manning. That says something, Mr. Manning. You understand?
It sure does. I appreciate it from everyone. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. So, Trinidad and Tobago, you want to thank Mr. Manning for being with us this evening. Do come off the live, you know. We have another story I want to hit all here. All right, Mr. Imbert. Yeah. Mr. Imbert talked about the health sector on Friday, that the health sector is lacking equipment, medicine, needles, swab, all these things. And the minister, as Dr. Oli said, spoke untruth.
You know how people sleep tonight, yes? I got.
All right, Mr. Manning, thanks very much.
All the best, everyone. Take care of yourself.
Yeah, we will talk. So again, listen to this. Take a listen to this earlier. On Friday in the Parliament, Mr. Imbert would have brought to...
In light of reports of shortages of critical medical supplies at North Central Regional Health Authority, can the Minister state what is being done to ensure the provision of medical services at this facility continues unimpeded?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank the Honourable Member for the question. Firstly, I wish to assure the population that there is no shortage of critical medical supplies at the North Central Regional Health Authority.
President of the Nursing Association, Edie Stewart, says Regional Health Authority workers are beyond frustrated and demotivated. This is, he claims, there is a significant lack of resources, forcing nurses to rely on others to obtain basic medical supplies.
Taking nursing personnel, liaising with their colleagues in other RHAs to source material to get it down to their institution. And that is happening. I saw something come out of Edward Williams Medical Science Complex. Nurses have to beg their colleagues in other RHAs for needles, every single medication.
He knows that there is a lack of proper communication between the Minister of Finance, the Chief Personnel Officer and the RHAs, as well as the Minister of Health.
In light of reports of shortages of critical medical supplies at North Central Regional Health Authority, can the Minister state what is being done to ensure the provision of medical services at this facility continues unimpeded?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank the honourable member for the question. Firstly, I wish to assure the population that there is no shortage of critical medical supplies at the North Central Regional Health Authority.
President of the Nursing Association, Edie Stewart, says regional health authority workers are beyond frustrated and demotivated. This is, he claims, there is a significant lack of resources, forcing nurses to rely on others to obtain basic medical supplies.
Taking nursing personnel, liaising with their colleagues in other RHAs to source material to get it done to their institution. And that is happening. I saw something come out of Edward Williams Medical Science Complex.
So I played that for you guys, for you all to understand that the Minister of Health stood up in the Parliament and lied. The Minister of Health stood up in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago and lie. I asked him earlier this evening, what it is really going on in this country? Are we just going to sit back and allow these people to continue to lie to us? So the nurses and them lying then? All the nurses is paying them and they just decide to lie. Eh? What is really going on? Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening. You need to listen to me on the phone.
Good evening, Pastor Google.
Good evening, sir.
So, according to the minister, all the nurses and the doctors and everybody in the hospital line on them. I know the pharmacy in Mount Hope don't get all the medication for the people that who waiting there to get a medication. Jardiance is one of the medication people will go there to get, and for the longest while they're not getting the Jardiance. So I don't know what the minister telling people. And if you listen good to the chairman of the North Regional Health Authority, he is saying that they're saving money. And if you're saving money, how you're expecting when you can't buy to put it there? These people would never stop lying by. Oh, Jesus Christ, lit up on that.
Thank you very much. What it is going on in this country? Ministers coming and just lying in the Parliament? Is this acceptable? Is this the politics that we want? That politicians could come into the Parliament where they can be questioned and they're not talking the truth? I heard the Minister of Education asking the Minister of I heard the former Minister of Education, Ms. Nyan Gasby-Tully, asking the Minister of Education about paying the drivers. Have you all paid the drivers? And he's blatantly saying yes. And the drivers, and they are protesting that they haven't gotten their money. What really going on in this place? What really going on in this place? That's what they vote for? Listen to this one. Listen to this.
Attempts by the opposition and independent benches to instigate a parliamentary probe into the Prime Minister's accusations of vote trading was shut down in the Senate today.
The motion stemmed from comments made by Prime Minister Kamla Prasad Bisesa on social media, which some senators say have brought the chamber into disrepute. K. Marie Fletcher explains.
And I'm convinced that neither submission meets the threshold to be raised as a matter of privilege. I so rule.
A double defeat in the Senate on Tuesday as Senate President Wade Mark shut down attempts by the opposition and independent benches to investigate accusations made by Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar. The request to file the motions was sparked by comments made by Persad-Bissessar via her social media X account on January 28, where she accused two independent senators of wanting to trade votes for personal favors. In response, Leader of the Opposition Business in the Senate, Dr. Amory Brown, said the PM's comments have brought the Senate into serious disrepute, and independent Senator Anthony Vieira called the allegations grave and dangerous, alluding to bribery or corruption. However, neither defense were convincing enough to Mark. Both senators filed motions of privilege regarding improper conduct. When a senator files a motion of privilege regarding improper conduct, they are essentially claiming that someone has tried to interfere with the independence of the Senate through bribes, threats, or undue influence. Following the ruling, Vieira told CNC3 News, quote, "The ruling is surprising to say the least," end quote. But though denied, the PM's comments still leave a bitter taste in the upper house, though she doubled down on her comments today, repeating that her government will not buy votes.
If the UNC administration thinks it is in their interest to continuously attacking the independent bench, I don't understand that strategy if you want our support. Because you will want our support. I can't understand how you could be attacking us and still want our support. To me, it's not logical.
There's a class of people called the independent senators, and you're saying they, two of that number, are guilty of some of the most horrible crimes. And that has been repeated outside. It is in fact defamatory as well. So this is not just bacchanal. There's a legitimate aim in pursuing measures like this.
Other independent senators told CNC3 News today that the comments will not stop them from performing their duties to the best of their abilities. K. Marie Fletcher, CNC3 News.
So people are now calling on the President of Trinidad and Tobago to respond. People are now calling on the President of Trinidad and Tobago to take action, because the Prime Minister is alleging that two of your senators, President Kangaloo, has been or involved in bribery. So we are now calling on the President, come out of the woodwork. Come out of the woodwork, Madam President. Come out of the woodwork and make a statement, please. Right? At least the independent senators, and they are have tried to bring some kind of clarity to this matter. And clearly, Mr. Wayne Mark and they don't want that. So we are calling on the President of Trinidad and Tobago, Madam Prezi. Madam President, we're calling on you to say something, do something. And while we're on that, you see the opposition leader brought to our attention something that we need to look at and don't take our eyes off of. There is something that is happening that some of you not even aware of. And the opposition leader brought it to our attention. And I want to bring it to your attention this evening. Take a listen to this.
The People's National Movement is urging vigilance as the United National Congress government moves forward with plans to review municipal boundaries through a cabinet-appointed committee. In a statement issued on Monday, PNM political leader Penelope Beckles described the initiative as a clear and present threat to democracy, arguing that the process undermines the constitutional role of the Elections and Boundaries Commission. The PNM claims the committee appointed by Cabinet and led by UNC Minister cannot credibly be considered neutral and has raised concerns that any recommendations could be used to reshape the electoral landscape in favor of the ruling party. According to the opposition, while the government has framed the review as an administrative exercise focused on equity and data, the process remains inherently partisan. PNM political leader Penelope Beckel says, quote, "The integrity of our electoral system must be defended. Boundary setting must never become a political tool," end quote. The PNM also cautioned its members and the wider national community not to assume that the upcoming local government elections will be contested using existing municipal boundaries. The party is calling for heightened vigilance, preparation, and resistance to what it describes as political overreach. The PNM maintains that any review or alteration of electoral boundaries should fall strictly within the remit of the Independent Elections and Boundaries Commission rather than a committee appointed by Cabinet. The UNC government has not yet publicly responded to the PNM's concerns. Local government elections are constitutionally due later this year. Urvashi Tawari, Rupnaraim, TV6 News.
Overshi, I don't think it's this year. I think it's next year. I don't think it's this year because the Prime Minister already said that she's not calling no early internal election. So it's not this year. It's not this year, Overshi Tawari. It's not this year at all. So the opposition leader has brought it to the attention of the nation. How the hell the cabinet could form a committee to check out boundaries? You know what? Let me move on, Let me move on. The other issue I want to talk about and bring to your attention is this one. Well, let's take a look at this now.
Alright. I'm a nephew.
You're good?
We good.
No, Minister, there's been called to the Commissioner of Police to resign. What are your thoughts on that?
I didn't call.
They've been called by members of the public and the family of Samaru that was murdered by a police officer to resign. What are your thoughts on that? Okay, so Minister, let's take 1 second to speak to us. Very important questions. What are your thoughts on that?
Alright. I'm a nephew.
You're good?
We good.
No, Minister, there's been called to the Commissioner of Police to resign. What are your thoughts on that?
I didn't call.
They've been called by members of the public and the family of Samaru that was murdered by a police officer to resign. What are your thoughts on that? Okay, so Minister, let's take 1 second to speak to us. Very important questions. What are your thoughts on that?
Yep. Yeah, that's how they're responding to the media now. That's how they're responding to you, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah, look my nephew. Yeah. I didn't call. Who called? I didn't call. Yeah. Totally ignoring the views of citizens. Yep. Totally ignoring it. Totally ignoring it. But I have a video I want to show you. I'm going to show you all it in a little bit. Because I want you all to listen to how people think. The only reason why I'm playing it now, because I want you all to hear how people think. Right? So this evening we looked at this video here. Take a look at it.
Former Housing Minister Randall Mitchell is revealing a hike in transfer and sale fees by the Housing Development Corporation.
In making the disclosure today, Mitchell shared an HDC stakeholder document detailing the new fee structure which takes effect immediately.
Tonight, the Prime Minister is defending that decision. Soyini Gray has the details.
The Housing Development Corporation is increasing its transfer and sale fees with immediate effect. The revelation came from former Housing Minister Randall Mitchell, who obtained the new fee structure in an HDC document. In making the disclosure today, Mitchell shared the stakeholder document dated January 29th. Previously, it cost $700 to transfer ownership of an HDC unit. However, with the changes, anyone inheriting a unit must now pay 5% of the purchase price to complete ownership. For a unit costing $500,000, this change is estimated at $25,000. A 10% fee applies on transfers of units older than 10 years in most other circumstances. Mitchell describes this development as scandalous. He also accuses the UNC of doing exactly what they had accused the PNM of planning to do when they were in opposition by imposing an inheritance tax. As opposition leader, Kamla Persad-Bissessar had criticized and accused the then PNM government of trying to impose a 25% inheritance tax. But now as Prime Minister, she is defending the move, saying the HDC is simply attempting to recoup some of the taxpayer money it had used to subsidize those property, alleging that people were profiting from transferring those homes. HDC Chairman Feroz Khan did not confirm or deny the validity of the document Mitchell shared and opted not to comment. When CNC3 News reached out to Housing Minister David Lee, he said neither he nor his permanent secretary were aware of any such policy. He has since ordered an investigation into the process. Soini Gray, CNC3 News.
Is Big Sail. The name of the singer, Queen Victoria.
Africans for sale, for sale, for sale. Africans for sale, for sale, for sale.
All you good, yes? I was lying with some old men before the election, and well, I was amazed of their discussion. They were discussing the election of 2025, how Africans were selling cheap and UNC buying dead or alive. One old man shout out, fellas, give me your attention. UNC can't win by themselves, no election. You see, they're sitting and they're planning to make a decision. So she called out Shilaga, who the old FIFA wanted man. She said, call the trade union, let we start negotiations. And we could call out a big sale and we go buy out some Africans. Africans for sale, for sale, for sale. We buying Africans. Sing the thing. Africans for sale, for sale, for sale. We buying Africans. She don't have all she chance and she the honor rhymes. No, what she need is some slave names, man, some big strong Africans. Africans for sale, for sale, for sale. We buying good or bad. Africans for sale, for sale, for sale. Tobago and Trinidad. Oh, somebody pinch me. Hey, UNC sitting and they're waiting patiently. With about 16 safe seats, they don't win that already. The woman said, I have my people and they are born UNCs. Now all I need is some Africans who got their names out of slavery. She said that she hear they're really selling cheap, and she could buy them very cheap, 500 and a jersey. A lot of people will cry when she's finished with CPEP, because Cause she is not holding back. Them P&M have nothing to get. She said it's party before country. All you never forget. She will care for her people and she have no blasting regret. Africans for sale, for sale, for sale. We buying Africans. She buying Africans for sale, for sale. Listen, we buying Africans. She said we like crab in a barrel. We pulling each other down. But I want their votes, so I jam them the winning song. And all they know it. Africans when you see wins, everybody wins. Africans for sale, for sale, for sale. Tobago and Trinidad. This verse slow, right? The black mines in Tobago, she's working on them with ease. But she's not afraid because monkeys say cool breeze. She said the last time she was easy, this time there is no room for mistakes. Cause when she's done with Tobago, it's either they make or break. She has her eyes on Moruga, especially Samuel Cooper. They got a lot of P&M houses, but none of them can remember. She's buying some in 6 company because they're nice, they're bad and they're trim. Their ancestors came from Africa and all of them is Americans. She passed through 5 company and she bunks up Madingo. Well, boy, she makes she name cause she gets Africans for Africans for sale, for sale, for sale. We buying Africans. Kill them. Africans for sale, for sale. Listen this. We buying Africans. Doc Faisabad was pretty serious with her reach in the cemetery. He said I'm waiting for refinery. Boy, that man had to be crazy. What? Africans for sale, for sale, for sale. We buying good or bad. Africans for sale, for sale, for sale. Tobago and Trinidad. I never meet too commercial man so. She said my people are loyal. They don't vote for other parties. But them P&M people just show them some money, staggered roti. She said I have my safe seats in the safe hands of Caroni. She go on to St. Cuba, straight down to St. Paris. She said I love my people. For 10 years we out in the rain. But when I get back in there, things will never be the same. To all of my people, you must get your rightful place. And I don't care who's sitting there and think I am talking race. You all know what's hurting me. You see that, Dr. Rowley? We don't hide up all we money. The damn man change the currency. Hey! Africans for sale, hey, for sale, hey, for sale. Hey. We buying Africans. Kill them. Africans for sale, for sale, for sale. We buying Africans. They bought out PSA. They got them for 10%. Now they could beat the chest and laugh because they know it's money well spent. All your love, all your Africans for sale, for sale, for sale. We buying good or bad. Africans for sale, for sale, for sale. Tobago and Trinidad. Africans for sale, for sale, for sale. We buying Africans. Africans for sale, for sale, for sale. We buying Africans. Africans for sale, for sale, for sale. We buying Africans. Africans for sale, for sale, for sale. We buying Africans.
Here we go. I said, give me a F, F, A, F, F, O, and let them know that is the code.
experiencing a global phenomenon. With serious issues, mankind choose to fool around. Then they go find out facing real consequences. That when you play totish games, you win foolish prizes. The mighty US of A, look how them in disarray. Because they forget the first dose of MAGA madness. So with the short-term memory, they welcome back Donald T. to give that fascist a second term in office. But after they take the bait and they realize what is the fate, enough of them want to change the vote, but it is too late. You see the FA, FO, I see the FA, now they got FO. Young man for true, to snap the election fingers fast. Although every poll warn you, that would have be a shock. FA, FO, I said the FA, now they go FO. But look, Donald distracting when it's soaking. He naming the Epstein files. So the bankies worried they're voting a presidential pedophile. FA, FO, I said the FA, now they go FO. You see when you're ever wrong, there's no doubt. The Mungo Sam will find out that what's sour in Bam Bam starts sweet in the mouth. Why you shout FA, FO? I tell you that is, tell them that is the call. Oh, say, can you see? You see the code? F-A-F-O. Yeah, man. Trin Begonian love all foes, you know that is the truth. So when America Trump, we just follow suit. If them MAGA morons is America's concern, well, we present government is easily their clones. From 2010 to 15, the tenure was so obscene, scandalize the land and destroy the economy. But like we miss the free for all, incompetence and bubble, so we bring them back to finish mash up the country. And as they assume their roles, I set a square peg in wrong holes. Now plenty people who help them win at the polls say the FA, FO. That's the FA, FO. The two worst Alexanders in the world, Tanti make minister. One is a racist troll, and one need a West Indian first primer. FA, FO. I say the FA, FO. Meanwhile, Tanti set up TNT in people worship we in place. She should have let the Yankee army put the radar in she pink palace. FA, FO. I say she FA, now she go FO. You see when you're ever wrong, there's no doubt. Persona non grata must find out that what's sour in Bam Bam starts sweet in she mouth. Sing it out. FA, FO. I tell you that is, tell them that is the call. Cause when code yellow wins, corruption begins. What's the real code? F-A-F-O. Listen good. Maintaining law and order and enforcing justice. That serious mandate falls to the police service. So confidence and respect of the citizenry, it's the only way to do that job effectively, not so? But when you hear politics and policing start to mix, that's when public trust and confidence starts to erode. Especially when the top cop appears to be propping up the lies and propaganda of the government's code. How can the people trust a commissioner who lies to us, who feel he's the punisher with a thesaurus? Well, he FA, FO. I can't hear all you. He went up the young man for true and tell we that the US radar help him to find the drugs in Caroni. The man lying from so far. FA, FO. I say he FA, now he go FO. Hear me? Thanks to CCTV, we see police commit cold-blooded murder, but the punisher, that liar, he call it an exchange of gunfire. FA, FO. I say he FA, now he go FO. You see when you're FR wrong, there's no doubt. Even rogue police find out. What's our in bam bam start sweet in the mouth. Sing it out. F-A-F-O. I tell you that is, tell them that is the call. I am Constable Brown, they call me Boy Blue. I don't need a warrant.
Country before party, well go to hell. Go to hell. You say you support country before party, well go to hell. Go to hell. Support your party. You say you support country before party, well go to hell. Go to hell. Support your party. You say you support country before party, well go to hell. Go to hell.
I am indeed seated among honorable men and women. So when we speak, it is not for party, not for principalities, not for powers, nor frail human beings, omnipotent though they may think they are, but for God, family, and country. That is the position which we propose to take on matters coming before us in this honorable house.
I am their voice in this chamber, and I will not allow that trust to be betrayed by inaction or complacency. When I became a parliamentarian, I took an oath to faithfully serve all the peoples of the country with honesty and integrity. That is an oath I take very seriously, and I want to make it abundantly clear. No man or no woman will ever get me to compromise on my principles and my sense of duty to my community and my country.
I believe in this country. I believe in our resilience, our intelligence. I believe in our ability to recognize that doing the right thing is easy. Doing the wrong thing is hard. I am willing to put Trinidad and Tobago above everything else. Above partisan politics, above any type of politics that will cause another toddler to be shot, another pensioner to be robbed, another family to face any type of violation.
Then take off your shackles of party politics and get to do the work of the people. And so that if it is that your loyalty to your party supersedes your loyalty to the country that has given us everything that we have, you are not making the difference you think you're making. And if you are here for a seat to sit comfortably, the people of Trinidad and Tobago do not want you, because we need people who are willing to be agents of change.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept up my feet. Almighty God is in charge of my destiny. I thank you.
You support country before party, well go to hell. Go to hell. You say you support country before party, well go to hell. Go to hell. Support your party. You say you support country before party, well go to hell. Go to hell. Support your party. You say you support country before party, well go to hell. Go to hell. You support country before party, well go to hell. Go to hell. You say you support country before party, well go to hell. Go to hell. Support your party. You say you support country before party, well go to hell. Go to hell. Support your party. You say you support country before party, well go to hell. Go to hell.
You start to talk like it make him drag your bomb, Mr. Fiddler. I have a story for you. I said I have a story for you. I have a story for you. When I like that, from the time you yell accurate, you're dead. From the time you yell accurate, you're dead, because all you do move along, all you do move along, but she hear he say, she sing, you're pulling up like DJ. You wanna get it going in all its glory. I am man don't like to disappoint, plus I can't live so anointed to tell you the truth. So here's the inside scoop. Last election was the strangest year. No lie, I don't PM get a cocoa sweat. When they done adding up the polls, point 173 years old. I'm to them boy. Celebration will just start on up. People pass out, can't do the work. 2 days past the leader can't sit. Palarat say white all unfit. When the mark buzz, when the mark buzz, when the mark buzz, like they was drinking boy. You either laugh or you cuss. I say bust, bust. When the mark buzz, when the mark buzz, real brave who's pass. Bacchanal is a must from the time you hear la courée, you dead. From the time you hear la courée, you dead, because only to move along, move along, only to move along, once you hear about Kankatang, you're pulling up like a wagon. You wanna hear the touring, like hot lorry. I am afraid to give you the talk. Kaisonianas walk the walk and say what we mean. So here's the scene. And what can
you know, people just be listening to this program, eh? And when they listen to the program, you know what they do? Some of them go and do research also to find the evidence of what we're talking about. Just want to let you know that there are some people who they're listening to the program and they go in and find the evidence of what we're talking about. Evidence. That they go in and get the evidence to maintain the integrity of this program. I want to tell you something. Ms. Kamala Persad-Bissessar will not. She has taken a position that she is not going to speak to this nation. And the reason why she's not going to speak to this nation is because Ms. Bissessar knows that people pull the recording. They have the recording of her saying what she says, they keep it. And it so happened that somebody found the recording. Somebody found the recording of Ms. Bissessar talking about the inheritance tax. And I want to thank that person very much for sending it to me. And I am going to play it for you. Those of you who stayed on the live, I'm going to play it for you so that when you have in your discussions, you could tell people, hey, I heard Ms. Bissessar with her own mouth talking about the inheritance tax. Take a listen to this. Take a listen to this.
I have received some information and I'm asking if this is true. Tonight I have to warn you that there's worse to come than their dreaded property tax. The property tax is only the beginning. I have been told, and I'm asking if this is true, that the Rowley P&M plans on imposing a 25% inheritance tax on citizens. Is this true? Tell us. I have been told, and I call on the P&M to come clean about this 25% inheritance tax. You know what that means? Your parents pass away, you pass away, you leave a little something for your children or your grandchildren. Before they could get it, you have to pay proper inheritance tax. How long have you been having discussions about this inheritance tax? Come out and tell us. Tell us. I want to see the slide now. Oh, look, the inheritance tax there. It is levied on the value of the inheritance received by the beneficiary. So whether you leave a $5, a $10, a $20,000, a $30,000, 25% tax on your beneficiaries. It is a tax you pay when you receive money or property from the estate of a deceased. Unlike an estate tax, the beneficiary of the money or property is responsible to pay the tax, not the estate. I have received some information, and I'm asking if this is true.
So you all heard it for yourself. You all heard it for yourself. You all heard it. Ms. Bisasa said it. So when you're talking, you could talk with a level of confidence now. That, hey, I listened to a program last night and I saw the video of Ms. Bisasa saying X, Y, and Z. Cool? You could do that with all confidence because you just heard it for yourself. Okay? You just heard it for yourself. Hello, good evening, caller.
Yeah, good evening to you, sir. Well, I must say, are you getting a feedback?
No, I'm hearing you loud and clear.
All right. I'm hoping that the PNM, with the information you have disseminated to us tonight, I am hoping that the PNM don't wait for the last minute to start the campaign. Hit the ground running. We have too many things to talk about. One of the things you mentioned earlier on is the question about the boundaries, that we're trying to reshape the boundaries. That's a very critical aspect. That's a very critical point. All those things, I think that there are many things that we could be talking about as we speak. They can't make that mistake as they did in the past. Hit the ground running. Kamla Prasad Bisasa, she campaigned every Monday night for 15 years, you know. So we can't become complacent. If it's once a fortnight, once a fortnight, if it's on a Friday or Thursday, every fortnight, have a meeting. Have a meeting somewhere. So that's my advice to the PNM leadership. And in addition, you have all your, you have all your fiery fellas, like you, Mr. Manning, Mr. Arari, and all those come in and have them there, those fellas with fire. You know, you start young, all these fiery ones, have them with you. Bring everybody together and fight, because it's not easy with this Kamla Prasad and everything. They're not easy. So I'm listening, my brother. I'm listening. Excellent job. Keep on the good fight. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate. I appreciate what you just said, caller. This is the answer Dr. Oli gave her when she went on her platform and presented that document and lied. Dr. Rowley answered her back.
Don't have anything useful to campaign on. So what do? They cannot engage this PNM on any of the sectors that we're on. So they now resort to lies. Have you all seen the Express on Wednesday, the 12th of July? There's an advertisement at the bottom. It says paid advertisement, right? The first time I heard about an inheritance tax, I heard it from Mrs. Kamla Prasad Bisasa. Not a single person in government, in a radio program, in a TV program, in a column, in an article, in a joke, ever mentioned that. That was never an issue in this country. But they want something to incite people, to make you feel as though you're going to lose something, and therefore Kamla Prasad Bisasa fabricate this monstrous lie that this government is contemplating and is planning to impose an inheritance tax. So when you pass your house or your piece of land to your child or your grandchild, the government will charge them 25% of the value of the land. The UNC sat down in their office and concocted that lie, plain and simple so. Immediately, the Minister of Finance, who is this country's authority on taxes and finance and revenue, came out and said, it is not true. The government has never discussed that. It is not government policy. It forms no part of the program of the PNM. You think that would stop there? because they have invested in this lie and it is meant to incite the people, they go and pay and put an ad in the newspaper on the lie that they have created, telling them they are bringing 25% inheritance tax. Well, in Parliament, I would have had to say, Mrs. Kamla Prasad Bisesa, you're speaking terminological inexactitudes. You are talking untruths. But in Tunapuna, on this platform, I could say, Mrs. Kamla Prasad Bisesa, you lie.
I want to start by reading a quote for you that is trending online now. Someone sent it to me and I saw it so many times. I think it's good for us to read this quote. I'm sure when I start to read it, you will be familiar with it. It says, out of hatred for the cockroach, the ants voted for the insecticide. Out of hatred for the cockroach, the ants voted for the insecticide. They all died, big on in the tail, including the housefly that didn't even vote. They all died, including the housefly that didn't even vote. It says an African proverb, but it could be a Trinidadian and Tobagonian proverb. It is so true of our situation here today. I want to start by reading a quote for you that is trending online now. Someone sent it to me and I saw it so many times. I think it's good for us to read this quote. I'm sure when I start to read it, you will be familiar with it. It says, out of hatred for the cockroach, the ants voted for the insecticide. Out of hatred for the cockroach, the ants voted for the insecticide. They all died, big on in the tail, including the housefly that didn't even vote. They all died, including the housefly that didn't even vote. It says an African proverb, but it could be a Trinidadian and Tobagonian proverb. It is so true of our situation here today. Well, they have jokes, eh? PNM people have jokes today.
Opposition leader Kamla Prasad Bisesa has described the property tax as a tax that will pauperize citizens. Mrs. Prasad Bisesa said this tax will have many adverse effects. She was speaking at the first property tax forum at her constituency office in Siparia. Sherilyn Lewis has more.
A misleading, confusing and draconian tax. These were some of the sentiments expressed at the opposition leaders' forum on the property tax. Mrs. Prasad Bisesa, addressing constituents, described the property tax as the poverty tax, saying the poor man will suffer.
This is not a property tax, because property is an asset. In my view, this is a poverty tax. Poverty tax. And Mr. Ramban has already explained how this will impact down the road. You know why? Every single thing in this country, everything, every cost will go up.
Also speaking at the forum was former Central Bank Governor Jawala Rambaran, who said the tax is misleading. The fired governor told the gathering that there is no clause in the Property Tax Act which determines that citizens will be penalized for submitting their valuation forms late. In fact, he says this is stated in the Valuation of Land Act of 2009.
Nothing in this Property Tax Act says that you have to fill out a form. Nothing says what is the process with respect to what you've seen in the last week or so. And there's nothing here that says you will be penalized for wrong information. This is the one that says if you make a mistake on that form, deliberately or otherwise, you pay $500.
Going further, the UNC leader said that this tax could lead to rental increases.
If you're renting, what happening? Your landlord gets a property tax he has to pay. You think he's paying that on his own? What happens to your rent? Your rent goes up.
Citizens have until May 22nd to submit their valuation forms to the Board of Inland Revenue for the taxing process to begin. Sherilyn Lewis, CNews.
And we could call out a big sale and we go buy out some Africans. Africans for sale. We buying the buyers. Africans for sale, for sale, for sale. We buying Africans. She don't have all she chance and she be on her rhymes. Now all she need is some slave names, man, some big strong Africans. Africans for sale. We buy it Africans for sale, for sale, for sale. Tobago and Trinidad. Oh yeah. UNC sitting and they're waiting patiently. With about 16 safe seats, they don't win that already. The woman said, I have my people, and they are born UNC. Now all I need is some Africans who got their names out of slavery. She said that she hear they're really selling cheap, and she could buy them very cheap, 500 and a jersey. A lot of people will cry when she's finished with CPEP. Cause she is not holding back them P&M have nothing to get. She said it's party before country, all you never forget. She will fend for her people and she have no blasted regrets. Africans for sale, we buying Africans. Africans for sale, for sale, we buying Africans. They like crab in a barrel, they pulling each other down. She said, but I want the vote, so I jam them the winning song. Africans for sale, for sale, for sale, we buying good or bad. Africans for sale, for sale, for sale, Tobago and Trinidad. Oh, who called me? The black mines in Tobago, she's working on them with ease. But she's not afraid, because monkeys say cool breeze. She said the last time she was easy, this time there is no room for mistake. Cause when she's done with Tobago, boy, it's either they make or break. She has her eyes on Moruga, especially Samuel Cooper. They got a lot of P&M houses, but none of them can remember. She's buying some in 6 company because they're nice, they bad and they trim. Their ancestors came from Africa and all of them is Americans. She passed through 5th company, boy, she bunks up my dingo. Well, boy, she makes she name cause she get Africans for soul. Africans for sale, for sale, for sale. They buying Africans. Africans for sale, for sale, for sale. We buying Africans. So Faizabad was pretty. See Roger with her reed in the cemetery. He sit down waiting for refinery. Boy, this man had to be crazy. Africans for sale, for sale, for sale. We buying good
Well, I don't know, I looking to close off the program, but I'll take about 2 or 3 more calls before I do so. Yep, I'll take some calls before I do so.
Sushila Prasad Bisesa. Isn't that a beautiful name? Yeah. What problem you have with my name? What's wrong with my name? Yeah, Camille. At least I have a name for my ancestors. Where you got yours from? Your name is that of a slave master.
So no, Sushila, you didn't have to insult me so. Sushila, tell me why, Sushila, you couldn't let sleeping dogs just lie. Sushila, a rose by any name will smell as sweet, but not when the name Sushila. Camille start to beat at the brunt of the childish jab. Well, she took offense. Let go a load of go bar in her mock defense. She said, my name is my ancestors. Yours come from a slave master. That is what the good lady had to say. So many years since Shahaji Bai, she kissed race relations goodbye. Fling we history back in a vicious way. So tell me now why you stoop so low, Sushila. Why the hell you insult me so, Sushila?
As the last caller said, Pastor Google, we need to campaign from now. Don't wait till near the local election date to start a campaign. We need to campaign now. Need to gang up and bring back everybody together now. Now is the time.
Brotherhood of the boat is Jaji Bash. Bash, bash, bash. The race barrier you crash. That was not Jaji Bai. Brotherhood of the boat is Jaji Bash. So no.
I see somebody asking me, where is Lady Gypsy? Lady Gypsy is there. Lady Gypsy has a calypso that she is singing, talking about she not going to lie, and she is supporting Miss Bisesa. She is one of the UNC Calypsonians, just like how you have Orlando Octave, who is one of the UNC Calypsonians, and you also have Kurt Allen, who is one of the UNC Calypsonians, and then you have this young lady, what is her name, who sang the song Pissing on My Head and Calling It Rain. I forget her name now. She's a UNC Calypsonian, so the UNC have the Calypsonians, you know. They say Orlando Octave said that how Calypso don't belong to no political party. But clearly these people just lie. Lies they're telling people. You understand? Because one of these days I'll bust the mark here. When my partner send it to me, I'll bust it on this frequency. Because they're just playing games. Games they're playing with people. Games. And expect people to just roll over and play dead. You understand? You bring your inheritance tax that you were the one pushing and promoting. You bring your landlord tax that you was pushing and promoting. You was talking against. You know, those are dangerous people, you know. People who will say to you, I will never do you that. I will never do that. I would never do this. I would never do that. Everything they turn around and do. Everything you turn around and do. Everything you say you would not do, you turn around and do. Oh yeah. And then we want to sit down and pretend as though, you know, like we just, like something wrong with us now. But leave me alone, eh?
And then you dash all the hopes for unity. Your statement was a disgrace. Emancipation dressing like we, but inside you're preaching race. We boast about equal place in our anthem, but it seems bigotry and race is still the problem. We even have the term tolerance in our watchwords. What must we do when our leaders moving so absurd? revolution, falling rain through the boiling sun. For my ancestors, sugar was a...
Hello, good evening.
Hi, good evening, Pastor Google.
Hi, good evening.
Right. Pastor Google, I know we'll be talking about the issues there, but I want to find out if it's really for another pandemic. You foreign what's going on in Asia with the Nipah virus?
Say that again?
You foreign what's going on with the Nipah virus?
Yes, in India?
Yeah. You know, I say that because we have student contingents in those countries, and God forbid they come back here. So I want to find out if they have any contingency plan to screen persons when they're going to pass through the airport.
Well, you have to. I don't know. I can't answer that. I don't know.
And this is the problem. I want to find out if the health authority in this country is on alert, right? And this could be a next COVID-19 pandemic. So people have to be very vigilant with this thing. All right, first of all, we have a good night.
All right, thank you very much.
Cause you're bashing fly and your kin born free, but I descend from a slave. And then you slash on me pride and dignity. Your apology just saved. Anthem dash singing out most lustily, but finding an equal space. Want to lead this rainbow country, but inside you're preaching race. No, 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 Sushila, you didn't have to insult me so, Sushila. Tell me why, Sushila. You couldn't let sleeping dogs just lie, Sushila. No, 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 Sushila. Sushila. Why, Sushila. Sushila.
Yep, Sushila boy. That's a big song, you know. Big song. You know, I don't know what happened. My sister, like, she get a little timid because people start to beat up on her. You know, and tell her that she shouldn't be singing things like that. You know, that's what they fight in the country and they fight in the, you know, kind of thing now. Them kind of talk. You know what I mean? Them kind of talk all day. You know, another topic that I just want to close off on. You see that situation? You see that situation in Tobago? I'm being honest with you. Well, I'm seeing on Thursday the opposition is having a press conference. And I believe that the opposition is going to deal with that situation, with that boat. And that what happened that is happening in Tobago right now. I don't know how many of you are aware of it. Right? I don't know how many of you are aware of it. I plan to talk about it tonight too, you know. But only know how it does go. Right? Only know how it does go down. So, I really had planned to bust that talk tonight about that situation. Yeah, we're tied up, you know. I'm a thing here plan out, you know. But time going on me. It's already 12 o'clock. So I can't talk about it now. But Miss Haddad dealt with it. She went into it. You know, she went into it. So I just had to leave it alone, fam. So here what? Tomorrow, please God, I'm thinking about doing an early program. So those of you who may not be able to be on with me tomorrow, you see how it goes. Hello, good evening.
Hey, Pastor, good night.
Hi, good evening.
Yeah, calling from Orlando, Florida.
Yes, talk to me.
I was taking the program interesting. However, I called sometime earlier on last year, and I referred to this government as a practicing racism organization and pushing a high level of nepotism. to divide the Caribbean. The biggest goal for them is not about Trinidad. They already captured Trinidad. They know that. They have all the business industries going on in Trinidad. They control that. They will take Tobago by populating Tobago with East Indians. The biggest goal is to divide CARICOM. They want to divide CARICOM and put East Indians to live in St. Kitts and Antigua, in and around there. It's a bigger game than Pastor Google. We have to be careful how we determine ourselves as African people. You see the song you was just playing there with the lady who was singing about the name? I think that song is a very, very, very strong song. And I am a member, let me make it abundantly clear, I am a member of the National Joint Action Committee. However, we know when we actually decided, of course, well, we have to identify ourselves via names and claim ourselves out of the enslavement. The PNM government, let me say the name is the PNM government back in the 70s, promoted the agenda, well, we're not going back to Africa. So with Kamala making a statement like that, we have to look ourselves seriously in the mirror, you know. It is not a joke statement, you know. I'm saying that to say, they will always divide us once we hate and we don't love ourselves. I want us to be fair and clear here, Pastor. At the same time, I'm going to go back to what I started with, is practicing racism. That is what is going on there. And at a high level of nepotism. And once again, we have to be careful because they actually are going after the CARICOM. They have Guyana and they have Suriname. I talk about East Indians here. I talk about Hindus practicing what I'm talking about here. Back in like 1997, Pastor Google, they did it in a country called Fiji. They've been cheating the elections, and the Africans, they have been coming up short right through until the Africans stage a coup, and the guy named George Spade, and the British and the East Indians there that is in control of Fiji, they executed him, and others. So I'm just saying, the Caribbean has to be very, very careful of what is going on in Trinidad. All right, so this is my piece I put in there. Is that a husband? Is fact. But be very careful, Trinidad and Tobago. All right, so thank you for allowing me to speak here and have a pleasant night, Trinidad and Tobago and environment.
All right, thank you very much. You know, when I listened to the caller and he was talking about back in the 70s when the PNM and Dr. Eric Williams and whoever else would have had their views about Africa and Africans. You know, I watched Dr. Rowley go into Africa, making ties with Africa, bringing the chief over from Africa, from Ghana to Trinidad, and making that connection with Africa for us here. You know, sometimes we know the history and people may have made mistakes back then, and I think now when you look at the corrective measures that was taken by Dr. Rowley to correct the past and now show a different way of us now having to connect with Africa to do export and stuff like that. So, you know, while the ignorance may have happened in that time, I think leaders that we have had after Dr. Eric Williams coming down would have shown us that, hey, that back then may have been a level of ignorance, but I think in this dispensation and in this time that we live in, we need to connect with our ancestors and our family from the continent. And that's how I see it. Some people might think that I may be off, but that is how I see it. you know, I remember hearing the statements that people always say, Dr. Eric Williams said, there's no Mother Africa, there's no Mother India, there's no Mother China, there's no Mother Syria, there's only Mother Trinidad and Tobago. And while Dr. Eric Williams may have said that in his own context, because he was saying it, if I was in that time and I would have heard him said something like that, my understanding would have been, yes, we know that that is the place we all come from, but we are all now living in this part of the world, on this island. Let us build Trinidad and Tobago. I often looked at that statement as a nation building statement, not to forget where you come from or neglect where you come from, but to respect where you are now, and this is where you are, and this is where you should build, and this is where you should establish. So that's how I always saw the statement by Dr. Eric Williams. I never saw it as one as he's saying, don't see yourself as an African. I never took it in that context. Because I can't say that I do see myself as an African. Because when I know my history and understand that my foreparents came here as free slaves, and settled in Moruga because they fought for Britain. Britain lost the war in America. You understand? And when they lost the war in America, they said, to have black men walking around aware of how to use guns, number one, and have guns, number two, they could turn on us, number three. So here what? We send them. Let's give them land in Trinidad. And they sent us, and we were the ones who cut down, build up, plant up Moruga, Hard Bargain, and all the places that we settled. And today, some of them for sale. Yeah, I ain't ashamed to say it. So while I hear the caller and I understand where the caller coming from, and the awareness of what this government is doing to black people, people who we thought were black liberators in this country, were never liberators of black people. They were liberators for our religion. They were liberators for a black leader. They were never liberators to free our minds to understand that we can do great things in this country by sticking together. That was never their intention and will never be their intention. If you don't subscribe to their religion, to their teachings, and to their demigod, then you are a waste of time. That's how they see it. But then when you had liberators like Darcus Howe, who fight for black people, really fought for black people, not because they were Anglicans, not because they were Catholics, not because they were black Muslims, not because they were Adventists. He fought for black people. Darcus Howe. Check him out. Check out his history. Couldn't be bought, couldn't be sold. The British government couldn't put him on a board and silence him. He fought so that black young people today could be in university in England. They could be working as nurses. They could be working as whatever they want to be in the UK. Today, his name is written into the history books of Britain as a true black liberator. You understand? So when we have people walking the up and down and talking about black and they're black and black and black and they're black and Black for what? Black for who? And I always give you the example. If I sit before this microphone and I say to you that I am not a pastor for religion, I'm a pastor that teaches people to know God for yourself. And then one day, you hear the Pope call for me to find myself in the Vatican because he want to ordain me a bishop for the Caribbean. And you see me come back down with a staff in my hand and a hat on my head. And I'm talking now on behalf of the Pope. What you'll call me? A hypocrite. That's what you'll call me. That's what you'll call me. A hypocrite. So don't give me that. Don't give me that stories at all. See some of these people who walk around talking about they're black and they are black liberators and they're for black people. Not me. You ain't getting me to follow you and to walk behind you. The people who not conscious and aware, them will follow you. But you see the real people who really know where they come from and understand who they are, they ain't following you. They'll not follow you. You understand? And the reality of it is that, for me, when you look at the history of Trinidad and Tobago, every black leader who have ever risen up in this country have been called Mugabe, a dictator, all the nasty names that you could find. Every single black leader in this country was labeled as the worst thing. But when you listen to black people talk about Basdio Pandey, when you hear black people talk about Kamala Prasad Bisesa, Miss Bisesa, when you hear black people talk about anybody else other than their own, they have the worst to say about them. Me! Mommy. I think I said enough. It's after 12. So I can leave all over this. Those of you on the live still, take a listen to this. I go on. Have a good evening, everyone. A good morning, in fact.
You know, I find it personally a little unfair, a lot unfair in fact, and unjustified the way you all judge this government, or UNC government, as opposed to the PNM government. I find the yardstick that you all use to judge them is different than PNM. I find it real unfair because the last administration royally effed up the country for 9.5 years, closed down Petrotrin, left divers in a pipeline, offered all the 4%. Like, did a number of unspeakable things, and y'all just were like, oh, okay, well, what are we gonna do? Okay? Now that this government has to clean up all that bullshit, right? All the vex. All they make any most noise. And it's not to say I expect them to do better than, like, literally any other government would do better than PNM. I'm being honest. Like, nobody can F up this country more than they did. If you disagree with that, well, then die between you and your mother. I don't really care. But the point is, you're just so much more harsh on this UNC government than the last one. And I don't understand why. Because just take these press conferences, for example. These journalists are literally badgering the ministers. Like, question after question after question, just going. Do you think they couldn't get in one or two questions edgewise with the last government? You think they could have asked Rowley and Embert and Stuart Young half the questions that they badgering these ministers with? At least with the kind of gusto and the kind of, you know, precision, I guess you could say, that they asking these ministers. Like, it's not fair. They're not on an equal playing field at all. because you're making noise about the tickets and the fines and everything. But ask anybody right now who drives from south to Port of Spain. Ask them for this past week what traffic was like. Ask them. Or if you yourself make that drive every day this week. Today's Saturday. This week on here. Ask any of them how easy it was. And this is with school open this week. Alright? Ask them. Because everybody want to be part of the solution, but not part of the process. Y'all want to jump and hop and skip and reach to conclusions that don't make no sense. Because finally, our government is holding you all accountable. Because the power in our hands, you know. Whether you all want to believe it or not, the power is in our hands to do the right thing and live law-abiding and follow the rules. Or leave. If you're so vexed, you're so mad, leave. That's all I can tell you, you know. Because I don't understand all this. I also find it very disingenuous of all those people on social media who was pro-UNC before the election, who are now anti-UNC because they didn't get away. Because they wanted a favor from a minister. They thought, oh, well, now we're trying to win and we go get through now. Who said all they was going to get through with anything? Is your loyalty only based on what you're going to get? Then you just as bad as what you're complaining about because you're not for country. You for yourself. Right? I really fed up all of them who just want to judge this government on a higher level or not an even playing field at all. Because PNM do the most shit. Complete utter garbage. I would have trust my daughter's Form 1 class over a PNM administration. But that's just me again. But I tell you earlier, if you all want progress in this country, you have to give the people a chance. We all call it and say, oh, they're just a one-term party. Think about it. If they actually get 10 years, how much different this entire country might be. We might actually reach second world class. I don't think it could ever be first world, to be honest. Because the people, some of the PNM operatives who work in all these ministries and all these things, I don't think they will let that happen. Because they want to see this government fail. Like everybody in all these ministries and all these state enterprises, they want to see this government fail bad. So they had the people there working behind the scenes to make everything not go according to plan. Right? But if you actually give them the chance to straighten out all the mess, because undoing 9.5 years of shit not gonna happen overnight. It's gonna probably take 10, 15, 20 years to get this country back to paradise. But the ones who just judging for no reason, fire burn all there. I don't even want to hear all there. That's the reason why I probably going to delete my Facebook account, because it's a special venom you all come with on that app too. Totally uneducated nonsense you'll be talking, and I felt, you know, I find it personally a little unfair, a lot unfair.
The information provided by the speakers and or presenter on Facebook and YouTube is for general informational purposes only. All information is provided in good faith. However, Constructive Talk makes no representation or warranty of any kind, express or implied, regarding the accuracy, adequacy, validity, reliability, availability, or completeness of this information.